the same symptoms after being released from the hospital Tuesday in Minnesota. Illinois toll booth violators are getting just a little bit closer to having more time to pay for those online missed tolls. State Tollway Board voting to give drivers 14 days to cover the cost. Scofflaws currently are given a grace period of about 7 days. The Tollway now must submit the proposed extension to the state's Joint Committee on Administrative Rules. Javi Baez, Anthony Rizzo belt home runs in a Cubs 7-1 victory at Wrigley. Cole Hamels tossing the first complete game by a Cubs starter this year. Tigers hit 3 home runs in the 6th inning in a 7-2 win over the White Sox in Detroit. Bears host the Chiefs tomorrow in their 4th of 5 preseason games. The game kicks off at noon at Soldier Field. The news service of Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org. 5:07. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
President Trump creating some Russia investigation news of his own this week when he...
You can talk about the weather, but the weather didn't pull the trigger.
If the Democrats get in, they're going to raise your taxes. You're going to have crime all over the place. You're going to have people pouring across the border.
We all still share the same objective of making sure that Iran doesn't get deliverable nuclear weapons.
What happens next?
That's a beauty.
Happens here. This is AM 560. The Answer.
Attention to this important announcement. If you have ever taken prescriptions like Adderall and are concerned about the side effects and high cost, now there's a new all-natural smart pill available that's the closest thing to a safe, real-life, limitless pill. It's so powerful and effective that students, athletes, and execs all want to get their hands on it. It's called Limitless, a Coastline product, and it's truly remarkable. It can help skyrocket your concentration, improve your creative thinking, enhance your memory, and make you feel like a better version of yourself. Call and find out how to get a free bottle of Limitless and experience this firsthand. It's not a question of whether this powerful pill works, but how great it can make you feel. Take it and watch it go to work. Limitless may be the best-kept secret available today.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Limitless, call 800-605-1653. That's 800-605-1653. Get your free bottle for a limited time. Call now, 800-605-1653, 800-605-1653.
Sometimes when it rains, it pours right into your basement. This is Gus from Chicagoland Waterproofing. My mission is to identify why your home is taking on water and fix it. I want you to sleep at night during a rainstorm and not worry about your basement filling up with water. Like our client Kim from Mount Prospect.
We had chronic basement flooding and no one could figure out why. During a huge storm, water was pouring in through the window wells of our finished basement and we had to bail out 6 inches of water. We got a bunch of estimates, but Gus's was the most reasonable, plus he knew exactly what the problem was. He put in a full basement drain tile system and an additional sub pump with a backup battery. Chicagoland Waterproofing gave us peace of mind. I like to say, in Gus we trust.
From simple sump pumps to complex storm drainage and crack foundation solutions, Chicagoland Waterproofing's work comes with a lifetime warranty. Plus, a fully licensed plumber is always on staff. Request your estimate today at ChicagolandWaterproofingPros.com or call 847-296-3500.
5:10. Let's get an update on the roads this early morning. The Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte. Good morning, Jim.
Good Friday morning, Mike. A lot happening. I-65, Maryville. We do have some movement, thankfully, after a major wreck, which happened last night around 9:30. I-65 has finally reopened southbound in Maryville between US 30 and 93rd Avenue. This was a major wreck with fatalities, truck fires involved, and southbound 65 was closed entirely at US 30. It has now reopened. However, 2 left lanes are blocked, so do expect backups in that area as the cleanup and investigation continue. In Blue Island, Mike mentioned, major fire at Maple Tree Inn has led to the closure of Western between Broadway and near Vermont Street. Staging for cruises at Broadway at Western. Closure of Halstead and Greektown, Van Buren and Grove. That's Taste of Greektown this weekend. And of Oakton and Skokie for Skokie's Backlot Bash. Chicago Triathlon will cause some major closures around Grant Park and extending to the near north side on Saturday and Sunday. The delays right now on the Eden Spur in both directions due to construction. We have a little bit of heavy traffic on the southbound Veterans Memorial in Ogden and near 63rd. That's road work in the 3 right lanes. Traffic is the service of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, supporting victims of drunk and drugged driving and underage drinking at no charge. Call their 24-hour victim helpline, 877-MAD-HELP, or visit mad.org. That's MADD.org. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Just echoing what Jim said, that Maryville wreck is a mess. Our friends at Channel 9 just posted up some video. It is a mess, and we'll be there for quite some time, so watch out for that. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast, as always, comes from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center with our meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Periods of rain late this morning, otherwise it will be cloudy and breezy throughout the day today with a high getting up to 71. Humid for tonight, turning out to be mostly cloudy with a shower or thunderstorm, low 65. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
65 at O'Hare, 66 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Empowered Investing, the show dedicated to investors. Saturdays at noon on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board joins us again. Kristen.
Hello.
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 So we played some excerpts of Trump's sit-down yesterday morning with Fox and Friends yesterday during the show. Didn't get to everything. One of the things that Trump said that I want to get your reaction to before we update the latest machinations of the castle as it closes in on Trump. Little Franz Kafka reference for you. I know it's early for a Kafka reference.
Yeah, I haven't had enough coffee.
Trump on the free press. Trump on the press being the enemy of the people. Ainsley asked Trump about that.
Is the press the enemy of the people?
No, not at all. But the fake news is. And the fake news is comprised of, it's a big chunk, okay? Somebody said, what's the chunk? I said, 80%. It's a lot. It's a lot. If I do something well, it's not reported, other than in the 20%. I mean, the New York Times cannot write a good story about me. They're crazed. They're like lunatics.
Kristen, like lunatics, you remember the free press?
I do. I sort of do. It's foggy. It's foggy. I mean, I think the press, so the Tribune was one of the papers that chimed in with an editorial.
Courageous.
But we had some Midwestern sensibility about our editorial. We did not we have not been hyperbolic about Trump. We have praised him when he does things we like. We have criticized him when he does things that we don't like. So I think this is, again, another case of the people taking Trump literally instead of seriously. He has had a different standard than any other president before him. I watched your interview with Sean Spicer. I think everyone should watch that. I thought it was very revealing on just how the...
Thank you very much.
I mean, from Sean. Not
right,
necessarily
Sean's content.
You sitting there drinking and smoking.
He was able to work around me in that interview.
He was. But I mean, he described how that just they live in a bubble, the Washington Press Corps, and they have assigned seats. And they got all their little undies in a bunch right off the bat because Sean invited people from the back of the room to actually ask a question, and then invited people from other newspapers on. They were like
even local press.
What?
You can't invite local. We're the D.C. Press Corps. You can ask some Yahoo from some Omaha newspaper to ask a question.
Right. So I think that's revealing. And he talked about how it's just turned into a big show. You know, they used to show up in T-shirts and baseball caps. Now they're on TV. Now you have the Jim Acostas of the world standing up and making every story about them. So this is a long answer, but what was your question?
the enemy of the people and
Yeah.
his clarification on that statement that it's the fake news as he defines it. And the way I would suggest that he intends that phrase to apply is people that won't give me a fair read, that have canned editorials ready to go no matter what I do. And if I said the world was round, they would say it's flat. That part of the press corps.
I think he's been a little slow to learn about the different political leanings of different papers. And I think he's right in some respects about the New York Times. I mean, just the framing. I remember one of the first press conferences, is it Mick Mulvaney, his budget director, had.
Right.
And I mean, he was talking about that we're going to do something with community block grants. We're going to give money back to the states. We're going to reduce the amount we're giving. We're not cutting programs completely. That story, I watched the press conference. The headline was, "We're cutting meals for seniors." You know, I mean,
Right.
there are cases where the press just twists what he says or looks for the worst. But I will say this: the reason that
There was one with Peter Strzok's firing. Peter Strzok fired for critical tweets on Trump.
yes.
No, he wasn't
No.
fired because he said mean things about the president. He was fired because of professional misconduct on multiple levels.
Multiple levels,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, it wasn't. He not mean girl tweets, and the president can't take it, so he had Christopher Wray fire him. That's the impression you would get from the New York Times, the gray lady, the Standard.
Right. So this press corps that sits and basically gets news spoon fed to them. If they don't get the right seat in the room, they get upset. I think where he needs to differentiate and where journalists, rank and file journalists, take offense is, I work in a newsroom where you have reporters doing absolute shoe leather, knocking on doors, fighting authority to report things like the CPS sex abuse story.
Yeah, great story.
So, I mean, journalists who, the Tribune in 2011 started keeping our own crime stats because we felt we couldn't trust what was coming out of the police department. So you have journalists at the Tribune putting on bulletproof vests every night for their shift because they're driving around the city and trying to document crime and trying to tell stories. So he does need to differentiate between like the Jim Acostas of the world and actual rank and file journalists who are in some cases putting their lives at risk, in other cases just trying to be a voice for the little guy. And there are so many examples of that: the CPS sex abuse, the red light cameras that were specifically targeting African-American communities, that we went to war with City Hall over that, the tax stories that you've talked about. I mean, the amount of reporting that went into that property tax series that showed how regressive the system is. I could go on, but that type of journalism needs to be supported and buoyed and not fit into this enemy of the people rhetoric that he talks about.
That's fair.
It is nonpartisan, good shoe leather reporting.
So what I'm hearing you saying is you, like April Ryan, want bodyguards and taxpayers to pay for it.
Absolutely not. I don't like all the diva treatment of journalists, and I don't like that, the decision that the Tribune made when we ran the editorial, Mr. President, we're not the enemy of the people. It was not a unanimous vote in the room. But I think the higher-ups at the Tribune felt they needed to support the reporters I'm talking about.
How close was that vote? Not very?
Not very.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You're going to make me reveal secrets on the air. To watch that button. Your forecast for today: periods of rain.
Like Michael Cohen, we tell you that we're taping you.
Well, there is a giant microphone in my face, so I should probably know. Periods of rain late this morning: cloudy, breezy, and cooler with only a high of 71. Tomorrow, humid and warmer, high of 86. Let's get a check of those roads with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Kristen. Good morning. Morning, Dan. I-65 is open again in Maryville, but only partially after a major fiery wreck which happened last night around 9:30, and 2 left lanes remain blocked on the southbound side of I-65 at US 30. Maryville northbound, all lanes are open. Expect some delays in that area. 8094 westbound at Burr, the entrance ramp is closed till 6 this morning. See mild delays on the inbound Stevenson, Lamont Road to Cass after earlier construction. Just a 2-minute delay there. And it's heavy on the Veterans Memorial Tollway southbound from Ogden to before 63rd, where road work has just cleared. Traffic should be lightening up there. The other expressways and tollways for now look good. In Blue Island, Western is closed. In Broadway and before Vermont Street after a 4-alarm fire. Restaurant Canal and Western. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Upstream-ideas.com, premium content that complements what we do each morning on this show. Long-form interviews in our Against the Current series. Recently received the endorsement of Kristen McQuarrie for my interview and Sean Spicer that you can check out.
It's very good.
Thank you very much. For
Again,
Sean.
not for Sean.
I will pass along the compliment to Sean. So you want to check that out, Against the Current series. 60 seconds of sanity commentaries from yours truly. Our Follow Logic Man on the Street segments. Heart of the Matter, that's our series featuring professional women speaking collegially about the salient issues of the day. And podcast for our Illinois Rising program covering state policy and politics that airs Sundays at 3 p.m. on these airwaves. And then don't forget our sister site, defendhomeowners.com. Free property tax report on your home. Updated home sales information in your community for 6 months of this year. So all the home sales and property tax info at defendhomeowners.com and everything else at upstream-ideas.com.
Napa know-how. Right now, Prestone Coolant is just $12.99 at Napa. Its temperature-controlling formula helps keep your engine cool, or as the kids say, chill. But don't worry, Prestone Coolant won't start calling you dude or crash on your couch. It'll just keep your engine cool for an affordable price, just $12.99. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 8/31/18.
What do you hear? Most people just hear an engine. We hear a 6.2-liter Hemi V8 with a supercharger that accelerates so fast, it'll suck the air out of your lungs and knock you back in your seat like you're an astronaut in a rocket ship hurtling through the stratosphere. But then again, we're not most people. We're the Brotherhood of Muscle. Dodge. Domestic, not domesticated. Dodge is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
You remember a simpler time when family fun was about having fun. It didn't include the kids glued to their tablets or smartphones. Well, real family fun is back at Gobert's Pumpkin Patch. For almost 70 years, Gobert's has been Chicagoland's family destination for fall fun.
This was the most fun day ever. My parents were there, my kids were there. There was a pumpkin patch, a maze, a haunted house, slides, a train, a fresh market, and there was so much more. I loved it.
It's a family tradition for us to visit Gobert's every October. The pumpkins are great, the attractions are fun, and the apple cider donuts are to die for.
Loved it. One price to get in, and almost all the activities were free. My kids had a blast.
Listen to the kids.
My mom loves the homemade caramel apples.
I have to say, the pumpkin cannon is cool.
They got a pumpkin-eating dinosaur. The live giraffe is really cool.
I love the jumping pillow and the Pumpkin Express train ride.
Gobert's Pumpkin Patch in Pingree Grove. Pick apples, explore the pumpkin patch, play games, ride the train. Gobert'sPumpkinPatch.com. Harvesting family memories.
My name is Lauren Sullivan, and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 9 years ago, and I was severely disabled. And about 6 years ago, my mother had found Balance of Nature, so we decided to give it a try because at that point, nothing was helping. I was skeptical at first, but over time I realized I had more energy levels. I was sleeping better, which was huge, and my hair looked better, my skin looked better, my nails looked better, and then I was able to weed off some of those medications. And I know, had I not found Balance of Nature, I would not be living the quality of life that I am now.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first preferred set of fruits and veggies and have them shipped to you free. Call 800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751, or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan back with Enemy of the People, Kristen McQuarrie, Chicago Tribune editorial board. She's allowing herself to be pilloried by you all morning. So give us a call, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Bruno in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi. I don't think Trump really thinks about or gives too much thought to the CPS scandal or local journalists who are looking into those sorts of things in Chicago or Atlanta or Helena, Montana, or places like that. He's really talking about the National Press Corps.
Yeah.
And the National Press Corps is absolutely not doing investigative journalism at by and large, for the most part. They for all intents and purposes, all they do is regurgitate talking points that are spoon-fed to them, and they do it in an extremely biased way. I mean, it's so obvious when you listen or read what they say or write. It's disgusting.
Thanks for the call, Bruno. It's actually a question, get your reaction to, Kristen. Is the National Press Corps, with few exceptions, largely just part of the punditocracy now?
It is. I think it's been a shift, especially with social media and just the competition factor, where reporters used to be, like when I started out in newspapers, you wanted to be behind the scenes. You were never part of the story. And now they push you. You have to brand yourself. You have to tweet. You have to be on social media. You have to kind of,
You're on the Sunday talk shows like a politician or a political operative. I mean, you're part of that milieu.
Yeah, I think so. And just the analysis, when you used to write a piece that was more analytical for a newspaper, you would label it as such. This is not just a straight up news story. This is kind of, I'm going to put some of my personal analysis here. That's never labeled anymore. It just gets folded into every story. So I do think there's been a shift.
Ed in Oak Brook, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I have to agree with Trump, and I think your guest host is completely. I think she has to fool herself to go to work every day, because the media in this country, and like the previous caller said, the national media is an absolute joke, and you can't even read it. But the local paper, she talks about a few stories that she wrote, but they're really a bunch of cowards. I mean, when they talk about crime, okay, they'll tell you the car. They'll tell you the color of the car. They'll tell you where, but they won't tell you what the descriptions of are the individuals that committed the crime. And that's been going on for years. Most of the race riots that take place in this country, Ferguson, Florida, Baltimore, you know what? That was fueled by the media. And after the media writes their stories and they go have their cocktail parties later, who's left with the damage? The people that were victims of that riot, the property owners, the businesses, and so forth. And then Obama got a complete pass. And then you had the national scene. You got the biggest coup that ever took place in this country that failed. And you know what? You don't hear anything about it, but you hear about Trump paying some slut for how many dollars. Big deal. We really care about Stormy Daniels when you had people trying to overtake this country by putting in the Hillary Clinton type person. So you know what? The media is a joke. You could tell by the pages of a newspaper that no one really cares anymore about it. I wish they would just go away. This country would be so much better off without them. Have a nice day.
Well, thanks for the call, Ed. I don't think we want the media to go away. And I think part of what Trump has done is expose the. I mean, I don't know why he took Trump. It seemed obvious to me as a consumer of a lot of news. He exposed the overt bias. I think it's just been ratcheted up because the antagonism with respect to Trump is so strong. But it's always been there. And the Chicago Press Corps, with few exceptions, including yourself, are an extension to the D.C. Press Corps. The Sports Press Corps is an extension of the D.C. Press Corps in terms of, when they wade into politics. And politics becomes a part of the story in sports, like with the national anthem and kneeling and so forth.
I mean, that's true. I don't think you used to see sports reporters weighing in on political issues, but Trump is such a polarizing figure that they do that now. But I think even when I've asked you in the past, how has your treatment been from the Chicago Press Corps generally? And you'll run through like 10 or 12 reporters who you think have given you a fair shake.
Yes.
That's a pretty decent record.
I don't know if it's 10 or 12, but there's maybe a handful.
I remember going down a list with you once. You're like, yeah. So they do try to seek out conservative views, or you wouldn't have these relationships.
Well, that's true, but I mean, with a few exceptions, they seek out conservative views to check a box, not to add texture to a story. And that's a difference.
I agree with that. And I think just in terms of opinion writing, besides myself and John Cass, look at all the local columnists in Chicago. You have no conservative voices, zero. And I mean, I hear about it all the time because we keep adding columnists at the Chicago Tribune or promoting people, but it's kind of from the same stripe.
You don't say.
Shocking news, I know.
Coming up at 5:38, should he stay or should he go? Jeff Sessions, we'll discuss it. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Dan and Kristen, good morning. Good morning, everyone. 64 degrees, and we are watching developments this morning in Peru where just moments ago a magnitude 7.1 earthquake has struck. The quake hit again around 4 a.m. local time, around 5 a.m. our time, in the eastern part of that country near its borders with Brazil and Bolivia. And there is damage, major damage reported from this earthquake in Peru this morning. Already major damage reported in several parts of Hawaii. The Big Island has accumulated about 20 inches of rain as Hurricane Lane lashes the state. Flooding and landslides are blocking roads. Governor David Ige warning residents that Lane is still a serious storm.
Just would want to remind everyone in the public that Hurricane Lane is still a dangerous and powerful storm.
Lane isn't moving fast. Forecasters say that could mean heavy rain will continue for several days. Some forecasters are predicting up to 30 inches of rain will fall before Lane moves on. President Trump's attorney says impeaching him would lead to a revolt. Rudy Giuliani was interviewed by Sky News while golfing at a Trump resort in Scotland yesterday. Australia getting a new prime minister. Malcolm Turnbull ousted in a party leadership vote. Treasurer Scott Morrison was chosen to replace the Liberal Turnbull as PM. Earlier this week, Turnbull suggested he would resign from Parliament if he lost his position. Former NSA government contractor Reality Winner is heading to prison for more than 5 years. Winner receiving the longest sentence ever handed down for a federal crime involving leaks to the media. U.S. Attorney Bobby Christine says she had no business at all with her hands on a secret government report.
The information in the report was unrelated to Winner's job duties, and she did not possess a need to know.
Winner had copied a report detailing Russian efforts to try and penetrate a Florida voting software supplier. Lyft is going to help Americans get out and vote this November. The ride-hailing service will offer free and reduced price fares to polling places on Election Day. Some of Motown's biggest stars will take part in the upcoming Aretha Franklin Memorial. The Four Tops, Gladys Knight, Ron Isley, and Johnny Gill have all been tapped to pay tribute to the Queen of Soul, who died last week after a long battle with cancer. Here in the Chicago area, investigation continues after a fire this morning destroyed an historic restaurant in Blue Island, the Maple Tree Inn. A second gang member is guilty in the deadly shooting of Chicago teen Hadiya Pendleton. Mikhail Ward showed no reaction after a Cook County jury convicted him yesterday. Baez and Rizzo with home runs. Cubs victors yesterday at Wrigley Field, 7-1. Cole Hamels the victory. Tigers hit 3 home runs in the 6th in a 7-2 win over the White Sox in Detroit. The news service of Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org. 5:35, we'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher calls out the never-Trumpers.
They are so crazed, consumed with their personal hatred of this man that they don't care what happens to the country. They don't care what happens in terms of policy. They don't care what happens in terms of anything that has been achieved in the nearly 2 years that Donald Trump's been president. They are unglued.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Progressive Insurance. Comparing rates to help you save. Call or click today and find out how much Progressive could save you.
Hey, listen up and pay attention. It's Jimmy here with a very profound message. What you need to do is buy a Zeepa. Nobody wants to hear you snoring all the time. That's ZYPPAH.com. You're sleeping next to somebody and you know you're snoring and you're not doing anything about it? That's disrespect. So what you gotta do is get a Zeepa at ZYPPAH.com. That's ZYPPAH.com. Zeepa.com. Happy Z spelled backwards.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Call 800-523-3493. That's 800-523-3493. Again, 800-523-3493.
5:37. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. In Maryville, southbound I-65 at US 30. Two left lanes are closed after a major fiery wreck which happened last night. The interstate was shut down for most of the overnight hours. Now it's just two left lanes blocked southbound at US 30. Prepare to slow down in that area. Edens looks good at the moment. Spur as well, despite the ongoing construction. Kennedy, clear. Eisenhower inbound. A little tight. Manheim to 25th. 30 minutes, 390 to downtown. Outbound fine at 29. Now Stevenson delays up from 355 to past Cass after road work, and there's also a crash in that area. It's 46 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, just 24 from the Tri-State. Bryan, 20 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford, 20 minutes, 8094 to the merge. Blue Island, Western is closed between Broadway and near Vermont after that fire at the Maple Tree Inn. Traffic service of unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education, drop out to help their family put food on the table. It can help change their future in a single moment. Unbound.org. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Jim, thank you. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Periods of rain late this morning. We should see the rain and storms crawl into the area around 8 a.m. And then the rest of the day, cloudy, breezy, and cooler, a high of 71. Tonight, clouds, humid, maybe a shower or thunderstorm for the opening of high school football in Illinois. 65 for a low temp. 65 right now. Next news coming up at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continue next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by On Target Radio. From firearms and Second Amendment rights to personal freedoms and government intrusions. Listen here Sunday nights at 9.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy J. This morning, Kristen McQuarrie, Chicago Tribune editorial board. We're having a discussion about the press, Trump expounding on his enemy of the people comment yesterday in an interview on Fox and Friends. And, of course, yesterday also there was a development in the Cohen-Manafort closing in on Trump, if you will, when it was announced that David Pecker got ahead of a possible indictment with an immunity deal. Federal prosecutors struck with David Pecker, National Enquirer boss. And now there's a story out this morning. National Enquirer kept damaging documents about Trump and his hush money payments in a safe. And this is Associated Press reporting. Nobody knows where that safe is. Or at least they haven't disclosed its location. So we've got to get our hands on that safe. We need a safe cracker.
This is just
This is a bank heist.
Stories, in 2018 are kept on, a laptop? Or
sure.
So what is they like wrote stories that were damaging and printed them out and then scrolled them up and put them in a safe with a lock I mean, this does not sound right. I don't know.
Can't you just password protect it on a computer? I don't.
Why would you write the stories in the?
They got
documents.
They got jump drives in there.
I don't.
Floppy disks. What are we talking about?
What happened to Monica Lewinsky's dress? That's
same
what
safe.
This feels like right.
Yeah.
I think they're all in the same spot.
It's a bizarre story, but what's his name again? Schlong Pecker. He did get an immunity deal.
Long duck dong.
It's cultural appropriation.
Can we do some 16 Candles throughout the show?
Sure.
The whole
You're
movie.
still pining over Jake, aren't you?
Oh, Jake Ryan. Yep, and the Porsche.
He was dreamy. Chris in Plainfield, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, hi, Dan and Amy. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, I'd like to talk and provide the counter view. The press is not the enemy of the people. And, that last caller saying, Ferguson was fueled by the media. It's not true. It was fueled by what the people thought happened, and it wasn't because of the media. The people thought that, he was shot by police unjustly.
Right.
And the media did not say that. The media reported everything they knew when they knew it.
Well,
okay.
Well, I don't know about that exactly. I mean, I wouldn't. The media.
There's no conspiracy theory.
Well, I'm not saying there's a conspiracy theory. I focus on work product. People can talk about who they are and what they do all they want. I look at the actual work product you produce, and I'm just saying, with respect to Ferguson, different outlets covered it differently. So, with respect to some outlets, you're correct. With respect to others, you're not. If you actually go back and look at the coverage of what was known and when it was known and how it was covered. But go ahead.
Well, guys, what you have the past 10, 20 years is a propaganda machine on the right that is so bizarre that it has expunged reality from the minds of Trump supporters so that they're under a mass delusion. So that anytime the media reports anything, if it's not wiping the garbage off of Trump's face, it's biased and it's fake news to them. But it's reality.
Well, let me ask you a question, Chris. This is a question I put to people in the press all the time, is because it's sort of interesting to get the answers. We know this is reality because Gallup has done the surveys. Since 1964, 84 to 92% of the so-called Gang of 500, the sort of leading lights of the D.C. press corps, have voted for the Democrat nominee for president. My question is, do you think the stories that have been covered for the last 50 years and how they've been covered, what predating Trump, would have been different if the D.C. press corps was voting 84 to 92% of the time for the Republican nominee for president?
Well, okay, so the votes, would it be different? Sure. It'd be like Fox News, which is a propaganda machine. What the press does is try to treat people of equal race, but Fox News and all the bizarre right-wing websites that pop up since the age of social media and the internet, which has caused a dividing, polarizing viewpoint on the right because the media does not do that, which America is a big, diverse country, the most diverse country that the world has ever known.
Yes.
And the media has no responsibility to report things how, old white racists want to hear their news. My dad was racist. Most of our parents were racist. Well, you know what? That's the country that we grew up in. We grew up with old white people, that didn't have as diverse of a nation as we did now. And talking racist jargon at home is pretty much normal for most people that are my age. White middle-class guys, in their 30s, 40s. We all grew up with it. We know what our parents were like.
Don't speak for my parents because actually I didn't. I don't think Kristen McCreary's did either. But here's.
Well, I bet you have someone in your family that did. I mean, this is not some hidden secret.
Here's the issue though. You just said. I just want to focus on, if we can, on the press. You just said yes, it would be different if 84 to 92% of the press corps was Republican. Voting for the Republican candidate for the last 50 years, it would be like Fox News, a propaganda machine. But 84 to 92% of the press voting for the Democratic Party, which has actually been the case, that doesn't produce a propaganda machine on the left. Is that right?
Not as polarizing as what you have on the right today. The Republicans this day and age have gone so far right and fascist, it's become bizarre. and they have no problem electing a thug.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the call, Chris. I'd like to hear from the other side. I appreciate Chris from Plainfield sharing his perspective. Few are courageous enough to do that on this show, so welcome the left to call in. Have a discussion. It's fun for me. Craig in Mount Greenwood. Down by you.
Hey, I was listening to this Chris. Wow. I mean, he's just talking all kinds of just opposites, because exactly what's going on is the fact that the media does not provide any kind of news whatsoever, really. I mean, they on the fringe kind of thing. But we're talking about Trump. When it comes to Trump, no news. It's basically they figure out all kinds of things that they spun up against him, things that they can use to attack him, and that's all we get. We don't get any kind of news about what he does good or anything that's really going on or important regarding Trump. We only get garbage. That's why why Trump sometimes says of some of them they're enemy of the people, because it's so damaging, it's so messed up and everything. We want him as president. We want him to keep doing what he's doing. He's doing a great job, and yet you won't get that out of this the majority of this press.
Thanks for the call, Craig. Appreciate it. What do you say to that?
I mean, I think that you do have to search more to find more conservative-leaning outlets, but they're there.
Sure.
And I wouldn't say that
even more so in the digital age.
Well, right. And I mean, the tax, whatever you want to compliment Trump for, the Gorsuch appointment, the tax relief bill. I mean, there is a lot of coverage of that. But do we get swept up into spending, 12 hours talking about Omarosa? The TV news does, yes.
Yeah.
There's no defending that.
But you do have cheerleading or opposition coverage on policy issues. So the D.C. press corps cheerleaded Obamacare.
They didn't even understand it.
Well, I know,
mean,
but they used what the left uses, sentimentality, to advance a overhaul of the nation's health insurance system, really a backdoor government takeover, I would argue, but certainly an overhaul, because they didn't understand it, number one, but number two, they deferred to the president they voted for. And when it comes to tax cuts, and there's a lot of evidence about tax cuts, and there's also just sort of basic logic about who spends money better, who spends your money better, you or the government, and the growth effect of reducing tax burdens. If you lower the tax on something like work, you get more of it. It's just sort of an axiom of human existence. Lower tax, you get more of something. Increase tax, you get less of something. But the way the press corps covered, just for example, those two signature policy moves of the competing administrations, very different.
That's absolutely true. I look back at the coverage, and I was part of that, probably sentimentality driven coverage, and it was really focused on pre-existing conditions and that $1 million cap that you even had kids fighting cancer reaching their lifetime cap at age 12 or something. So there was a lot driven by individual stories and people having to hold fundraisers so and so could get chemo treatments. That is all true. But I also blame the Republican Party for when they had a chance to address some of those issues like pre-existing conditions and crack down a little bit more on the insurance industry when they did hold the House and Senate and didn't do it. Then, of course, when Democrats got control, we overcorrect. That's what we always do, and that's what that legislation was. And you didn't hear the side that Republicans were concerned about, which is what you just described, a complete government takeover of a huge sector of the U.S. economy. You never got that sort of.
And then the accountability for the promises that were attendant to that policy proposal. How much were we going to save on our health insurance premiums, and what's actually happened, and how much coverage has been devoted to that, devoted to the misdirection play, the scam that is Obamacare. I mean, just like every big government gambit for the last 80 years. It's like there's no institutional memory because we're just cheerleaders for big government. And a lot of Republicans are not courageous enough to stand against that, too, as well. You're right. Derek in Stevens Point, Wisconsin.
Morning, guys. To answer your question this segment, Dan, without question, the coverage of the major stories in the last 50 years would be different if the 84 to 92% was Republican versus Democrat. And there's a few shining examples, and they're right there in Chicago. I listened to a podcast from WGN that Kristen is actually a part of once in a while, and it's got Eric Zorn, John Williams, Scott Bertrand, and I listened to it just like for the reason you stated with Chris. You like to hear the other side. Well, last week's show was labeled Trump's war against the media, when the truth of the matter is 84 to 92 vote against him. So where's the war actually? And this week the show starts out with the news of the Cohen verdict, and Eric Zorn and John Williams, which I was very surprised by. Their exact words were, they're guardedly optimistic for the impeachment of our sitting president for a campaign finance violation, really. And
maybe
the thing is that Barack Obama was in office. He paid a $375,000 fine for a campaign finance violation. Yet I never heard a call or cheering for impeachment. It's so one-sided. It's not even funny. And we really don't get the breadth of this issue unless we do listen to the other side, and that's why it is important to have our ears open, no matter what side it is. So
thanks for the call, Derek.
So now
Appreciate
Derek understands why I have to drink vodka before I do Mincing Rascals.
There's no question.
It requires some sedation.
Can only imagine
to be surrounded with people who just think very opposite that I do.
Now, to be fair to Eric Zorn, because I like to be fair, he is auditioning to be the street artist in Obamaland. He's going to be like the folk singers at Potbellies that sing for their supper
already
there.
Does.
But he's going to do it at Obamaland. He's going to be the officially licensed street singer for ambiance.
I have to defend my friend Eric Zorn and he's very talented.
You should hear Eric Zorn sing Puff the Magic Dragon. I mean,
he plays the fiddle, he plays the guitar.
It's not a dry eye in the house.
They do a Christmas show every year, he and Mary Schmeek.
Mary Schmeek? Who watches the cats?
Stop it.
Oh, no more Yankee, my wanky.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
As a parent, you want what's best for your children. That means sending them to a school where they'll get the superior education they deserve, and that also shares your values. That can be tricky these days, as public schools have changed and private schools can be expensive. Your household budget has already been cut to the bone, and it's hard to imagine where you'll find that extra money. Well, there's help to lessen that financial burden and provide your child with the very best education at half the cost. At AM 560, The Answer, we work with private schools throughout the Chicagoland area to provide tuition for families at half the normal cost. Just log on to halfpriceschools.com and you'll find some of Chicagoland's finest private schools, from preschool all the way through high school, at half the cost. And chances are there's a school right in your neighborhood. Invest in your child's education and future at halfpriceschools.com. A limited number of half-price vouchers are available. Go to halfpriceschools.com now.
Live from Chicago, it's Saturday Night Live, The Experience. For the first time ever, get an inside look at the making of SNL. Over 500 artifacts direct from the show. Be a part of Wayne's World, Weekend Update, and so much more. Experience all it takes to put the show together. Now at the Museum of Broadcast Communications at 360 North State Street in Chicago. For tickets, visit museum.tv.
Highland Park Ford Lincoln's in the house. Here's Alan Marty.
For 30 years, we've been making people happy with incredible deals and service.
We're the best Ford Lincoln dealers in town.
Because making people happy makes us happy.
No doubt. This is one happy place.
Heck, we just break into dance all the time.
We don't break into dance at the dealership.
Sure we do.
No, we really don't.
We could. Come on, Marty, dance with me.
The Highland Park Ford Lincoln Superstore. Call 1-800-984-9000 or go to alanmarty.com.
Admit it.
Okay, you're a lovely dancer.
Thank you. This is Alan Marty. Deal with us.
Have you heard about New Life Church Cadets? New Life Church Cadets is a Christian club for boys grades 2 through 8th in New Lenox, Illinois. They also have clubs in the south and southwest suburbs of Chicago, as well as northwest Indiana. In cadets, boys discover who God is and how He works in their lives and in the world by learning and doing through Bible lessons, merit badge work, crafts, service projects, Pine Car Derby, and camping. Cadets is a part of the Calvinist Cadet Corps, a non-denominational organization whose goal is to help boys grow more Christ-like in all areas of life by providing Christian men to act as leaders and mentors, working alongside the boys. To learn more, visit newlifenewlennox.org or call 815-462-0202. In today's culture, where males take a beating for being what God created them to be, New Life Church Cadets celebrates the male and shows boys how to become Christ-like men.
Watch today's show live right now on the Income Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
5:57. Let's get an update on the early morning roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Southbound I-65 is open in Merrillville at US 30, but two left lanes remain blocked. Clean up, investigate an earlier wreck which happened last night and had southbound 65 closed most of the overnight hours. Big jam on the inbound Stevenson from 355 past Cass. Cars being towed out of the right ditch. It's also a bit tight central to Pulaski. 52 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, but 26 from the Tri-State. Eden's fine. Kennedy, a little tight around 190. Eisenhower, 32 minutes, 390 to downtown. Outbound 29. Bryan, 22 minutes, 95th Loop. I-57 is good. Bishop Ford, a 3-minute delay for 115th Stony Island feeder. There's an earlier stall in the area. Traffic, service of unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. See how far your support can go at unbound.org. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues after a full update from Fox News and your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center and our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, cloudy and breezy with periods of late morning rain, high 71. Tonight, mostly cloudy and humid. A shower or a thunderstorm around, low 65. Humid and warmer tomorrow with clouds and sun, high 86. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560. The Answer.
65 at O'Hare, the news service of Compassion International, sponsoring a child with compassion is the most effective way to end extreme child poverty. Release a child from poverty when you become a Compassion sponsor. Do your part to release a child from poverty today. 5:59 on AM 560. It is time for a dry basement and a healthy home. It's time to call Permaseal 800-421-SEAL. Could be a wet and stormy start to the weekend in high school football across the state. Most of the state is at risk for strong and severe storms today. An investigation continues after a fire destroyed an historic restaurant in Blue Island. Blaze broke out early this morning at the Maple Tree Inn. Candidate for mayor Paul Vallis unveiled his economic development plan for the city yesterday. Job one, he hopes, is to get rid of Mayor Rahm Emanuel's strategy for the city colleges. Cubs 7-1 winners over the Reds at Wrigley Field. Tigers over the White Sox 7-2 in Detroit. The Bears host the Chiefs tomorrow. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Come on, Jeff. You can do it. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. President Trump on Twitter this morning, a few minutes ago, urging Attorney General Jeff Sessions to investigate Democrats and others, including what the president calls conflicts in the Robert Mueller special counsel investigation. Sessions put out a statement in his own defense yesterday after another public attack by the president.
All of this began after President Trump attacked his attorney general in that interview with Fox and Friends.
I put an attorney general that never took control of the Justice Department. Jeff Sessions recused himself, which he shouldn't have done.
Then in a rare move, Sessions responded, saying in a statement that he took control of the DOJ the day he was sworn in, and that as long as he is the attorney general, quote, the actions of the Department of Justice will not be improperly influenced by political considerations.
Fox's Ellison Barber in Washington. A guilty plea in federal court from the president's former attorney the other day now has prosecutors in New York City considering charges against the president's business organization. Here's Fox's Rachel Sutherland.
Chris, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office may pursue criminal charges against a Trump organization over hush money that Michael Cohen paid to adult film actress Stormy Daniels, who claims to have had an affair with the president. The company noted the $130,000 reimbursement on its books as a legal expense. The New York Times reports prosecutors claim the payments were hidden through a legal retainer agreement, which did not actually exist. Cohen has pleaded guilty to campaign finance charges. Chris?
Rachel Sutherland, thanks. Hurricane Lane is forecast to move over or near parts of Hawaii later today. National Weather Service meteorologist Eric Lau in Honolulu says it's a slow mover.
All that rainfall for that prolonged period of time really brings that threat of life-threatening flash flooding.
A couple of feet of rain have fallen already in some places. The storm's a Category 3 now. Stocks overseas are mixed, but mostly up. Dow futures up 54 points ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street. Fox News, fair and balanced.
President Trump creating some Russia investigation news of his own this week when he...
You can talk about the weather, but the weather didn't pull the trigger.
If the Democrats get in, they're going to raise your taxes. You're going to have crime all over the place. You're going to have people pouring across the border.
We all still share the same objective of making sure that Iran doesn't get deliverable nuclear weapons.
What happens next?
That's a beauty.
Happens here. This is AM 560. The Answer.
It's the Ford Summer Sales Event. And now, while selection is best, it's the best time to buy. With amazing offers across a full lineup of Ford vehicles, now is the time to make summer go right with Ford, America's best-selling brand. Stop by a local Ford store or shop online at buyfordnow.com, because there is no better time than right now to get behind the wheel of a new Ford during the Ford Summer Sales Event. The Ford Summer Sales Event is here. Right now, get 0% APR financing for 72 months plus $1,000 Ford credit bonus cash on a great lineup of Ford SUVs. Best-selling claim based on 2017 calendar year sales. Not all buyers qualify for Ford credit financing. 72 months at $1,389 per month for $1,000 finance regardless of down payment. Not available on Expedition. For all offers, take new retail delivery from authorized Ford dealer stock by 8/31/18. See dealer or go to buyfordnow.com for qualifications and details.
Hey, if you're missing teeth or even a single tooth, then dental implants are a fantastic way to regain your confidence, your smile, and your dental health. Hey, Sean Hannity here. So what are you waiting for? Find out now if implants are for you. Successful implants don't come from an implant factory. Skill, treatment, installation, those are the main differences for successful lifelong implants. That's why you need to see Dr. Neruzzi at Fox River Periodontics. Dr. Neruzzi is the recommended choice of dentists that don't do implants themselves. You need the experience, the skill, and honesty that over 25 years of dental implants brings, and you're going to be happy with your implant. It's not a mass production procedure because everyone is different. And Dr. Neruzzi wants to talk to you about dental implants today.
This is Dr. Neruzzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants.
Call Fox River Periodontics at 630-232-7400. They're online at implantsforme.com.
Attention to this important announcement. If you have ever taken prescriptions like Adderall and are concerned about the side effects and high cost, now there's a new all-natural smart pill available that's the closest thing to a safe, real-life, limitless pill. It's so powerful and effective that students, athletes, and execs all want to get their hands on it. It's called Limitless, a Coastline product, and it's truly remarkable. It can help skyrocket your concentration, improve your creative thinking, enhance your memory, and make you feel like a better version of yourself. Call and find out how to get a free bottle of Limitless and experience this firsthand. It's not a question of whether this powerful pill works, but how great it can make you feel. Take it and watch it go to work. Limitless may be the best-kept secret available today.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Limitless, call 800-605-1653. That's 800-605-1653. Get your free bottle for a limited time. Call now, 800-605-1653, 800-605-1653.
You dread the sound of your cell phone buzzing with unknown caller. It's probably your mortgage company calling about your overdue payments again. Maybe you found yourself in a difficult financial situation due to hardship, and now it seems like your world is falling apart. Your home is on its way to foreclosure.
Foreclosure is not your only option. I'm Angela Sikors Epstein of ATC Mitigation Services. We're a company that specializes in short sales, a way to satisfy your loan with the bank and avoid foreclosure. Although other real estate professionals can handle short sales, they just don't have the experience and knowledge of the process like our mitigation company. We'll work with your mortgage lender to get their approval for a short sale. You can even list your property through a preferred realtor.
A short sale can help you avoid the pain and hassle of foreclosure and will stop those dreaded phone calls. Call ATC Mitigation at 630-517-8510 and hear about the benefits of a short sale. If you're on the verge of losing your home, call today or go to easyshortsales.org. There's a retirement crisis in America. 10,000 people turn 65 every day with alarmingly little savings. Company pensions are a thing of the past. 401k plans are riddled with hidden fees and expenses. And we're living longer, so our retirement savings need to last longer. Plus, record low interest rates are punishing savers, forcing people to take on far too much risk in the stock market. So what can you do to ensure you don't become the result of this crisis? The answer is a customized retirement analysis that shows you the strategies on how to turbocharge your income in retirement and protect your retirement savings from stock market volatility, the rising cost of healthcare, and higher taxes. Plus, some little-known strategies on how to ensure you never run out of money in retirement. Typically, a customized analysis could cost you thousands. Call the Alpha Wealth Group right now, and it won't cost you a dime. Call 630-519-4742. That's 630-519-4742. Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, Inc.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. What is the deal with this guy? Trump yesterday on Fox and Friends talking about his Attorney General, Jeff Sessions.
The Dems are very strong in the Justice Department. I put an Attorney General that never took control of the Justice Department, Jeff Sessions. Never took control of the Justice Department, and it's a sort of an incredible thing.
Jeff Sessions responded. He's taken a lot of shots. He hasn't responded to very many of them, but he responded yesterday saying he's been in charge from day one and the Department of Justice will not be improperly influenced by political considerations. Okay. What do you think that's going to generate? If you guessed a Trump Twitter response, you're correct. Trump tweeting just a few minutes ago, Jeff, regarding the DOJ not being influenced by political considerations. Jeff, this is great! Exclamation, or all caps. What everyone wants. So look into all of the corruption on the other side, including deleted emails, Comey lies and leaks, Mueller conflicts, McCabe, Strzok, Page, or FISA abuse, Christopher Steele and his phony and corrupt dossier, the Clinton Foundation, illegal surveillance of the Trump campaign, Russian collusion by Dems, and so much more. Open up the papers and documents without redaction? ? Come on, Jeff, you can do it. The country is waiting. Are you? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Are you waiting for Jeff Sessions to, in many of the matters that Trump lists there, he would have to unrecuse himself to re-enter some, much less instigate some of these investigations that Trump is calling for, reopen in some cases with respect to Hillary Clinton. And remember, Sessions' recusal was based on advice and counsel that he sought. And there is a credible position that it is a credible position that he took to say, I was a surrogate for the campaign. I can't be overseeing an investigation into a campaign that I supported in a material way where I was a surrogate. I had interaction, ostensibly, with campaign personnel, including the principal, including the candidate. That you can perhaps make an argument that he didn't need to, according to the canons, recuse himself. But there's a credible and a credible legal argument, a legal ethics argument, a credible optics argument that he made in recusing himself. But that's not Trump's position at present.
Whoops.
There you go.
Whoops. Don't you think so?
President Trump is being investigated for obstruction. How does this...
Well,
we think
that Mueller's play is an obstruction of justice play.
Okay.
But, I mean, the investigation was related to collusion with the Russians to affect the 2016 election. I mean, that's the charter.
I know. I read Andy McCarthy, and that's what he said. So
well, that's right. I think he's right about that.
He believes the investigation is headed. So why would Trump continually tweet and pressure his attorney general openly, which exposes him to charges that he is trying to unduly influence the investigation? It just seems counterintuitive.
He's going to, I mean, if
he's basically saying, I appointed Jeff Sessions because I thought he was going to be my friend and let me off the hook. And on the one hand, I understand that presidents get to appoint attorney generals and how fortunate that Barack Obama had Eric Holder for all those years. That's a very protective environment. But
or Loretta Lynch, for that matter.
Well, correct. So, but continually pointing out that Jeff Sessions is not playing along, isn't that hurting Trump's eventual case?
Well, I don't know that it hurts his case. I mean, he's the president of the United States. He has certain executive power, and doing it open and notoriously, making a case, pointing out things that everybody knows, like Comey and the senior leadership of the FBI's performance and what's happened to a half a dozen members of that senior leadership team, pointing out what we now know to be true about Bruce Orr. And there's another story about that guy today where he allegedly was having these communiques with Christopher Steele unbeknownst to his superiors. Remember, he was number 4 at Justice. Effectively, maybe not substantively in terms of his powers anymore, but so that this is one thing to point them out. But the other thing is, what do you think this is going to do? It's going to prompt Jeff Sessions to do your bidding. Then you're going to have holy hell directed at both you and Sessions that he is nothing more than a toady to do the president's bidding rather than an independent cabinet member who's charged with enforcing federal law. So, I mean, I think, and I don't think Trump expects Jeff Sessions to actually abide his tweets or his admonitions. I think it's just optics for Trump. I think it's just, look, I got an attorney general who's not doing his job. They're not providing the proper oversight of Mueller. They're not reining in rogue officials at Justice like Bruce Orr. You know, I had this problem at FBI, which is why I had to finally fire Comey, and I put Christopher Wray in, and now you've seen what was happening underneath Comey, and with Comey's assent, generally speaking, clearly, incompetence or assent, or both, pick whichever you want from those choices. So I think this is just an argument for the American people. I think the audience is the American people, not Jeff Sessions.
I think I disagree, because even in that long sit-down with the Fox reporter yesterday, he repeated what he has said from the beginning, that he was surprised, shocked, disappointed, angered when Sessions recused himself. And so it just feeds this whole line that Donald Trump is an obstructionist, that he appointed Jeff Sessions because he thought he was going to get a friendly comrade. And it doesn't make sense to me.
But calling on the Attorney General to do something that the Attorney General will or will not do is not obstruction of justice.
But he's openly pressuring. This is open public ramping up the pressure on Jeff Sessions.
Well, of course, but he's been doing
stopping short of firing him. Basically,
you're first of all, it's within his power to fire him. Number one, and you know, probably not the best play at this point, which is why he hasn't done it. Just like it's within his power to pardon Paul Manafort, probably not the best play, which is why he has agreed with his White House counsel, at least according to the New York Times, not to do it. But he's allowed to make arguments. I mean, at minimum, and rather than doing it in a back room, I at least give him credit to say, hey, remember all of these other people and all of these other curious cases and all of these other instances of smoke at minimum, if not fire in some cases, with respect to criminality. And remember what Justice has done with Todd Christensen, Debbie Wasserman Schultz's IT guy, Amron. All of these men. So, you know, there are other things Jeff Sessions can do, probably and still maintain the viability of his recusal in the Russian collusion matter and let Rod Rosenstein oversee Mueller. But this is a message to Rod Rosenstein. This is a message to the American people. And this is a reminder to all parties of everything else that's gone on. And watch law enforcement and the intelligence community address all of these other matters, all of these other people, versus how they're addressing, me and my bottom feeder friends, Cohen and Manafort and well, frankly, David Pecker, too, who's now got an immunity deal. My prediction for the next Trump tweet, not mine, the next Trump tweet.
Oh, do you signal what
No,
Trump's
that's
tweets
just
are supposed to be? Do you guys text each other?
Yeah, right.
Give him suggested texts.
My prediction
suggested tweets.
is he's going to say David Pecker is a real Richard Cranium. You don't get it?
No.
Think about it. Take your calls. Jim in Rogers Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I am furious with you guys. Furious. Okay, you sound like the same spin doctors as all the rest of the media. Jeff Sessions could appoint a special counsel to investigate all this crap, which is all based on going back to Comey investigating the Clinton Foundation in 2002. Okay, this is all corruption. From Comey to Mueller, they're all connected. Rod Rosenstein, they're all connected, man. And everybody knows it. You can go online and see videos about the connections and the coincidences.
Jim. I mean, I've spent hours and hours and hours on this show talking about Jim Comey and everybody at the FBI and Bruce Orr and all of the players that you just mentioned. The issue is Jeff Sessions.
Right. When you can't do anything, he can't. He appointed a special counsel to investigate this corruption.
Okay, so you want another special prosecutor appointed.
I absolutely do. I want a special prosecutor with Mueller's powers to investigate all of them, or struck the whole thing that goes back to 2002, because this is about the Clinton Foundation and Hillary paying off all these jerks.
Okay.
All right. And our government was taken over.
All right, thanks for the call, Jim. I mean, look, the idea of a special prosecutor for the special prosecutor is not out of bounds. It's actually something that was previously proposed by Lindsey Graham, who's one of the most stalwart defenders of Bob Mueller, the FBI, and all of these law enforcement agencies.
All of these.
I'm not suggesting it's a good idea.
Okay.
I'm just suggesting it's a legitimate
all on
one.
Record from the beginning, talking about the credibility that Mueller has. That
yes.
They expect that he.
Yes.
Very, speaking very highly of his credentials. So then they're going to turn around. No, you can't do that.
Well, you can after you watch his performance. You can say, this is what I thought going in, but I got to tell. I mean, this is the Trey Gowdy position, but I got to tell you, what I'm seeing has moved my opinion. You're allowed to change your opinion based on what people actually do.
I know, but from the beginning, if you favored a special prosecutor, you had to know that they never stick to the script. They don't.
Well, right, which is why one should have never been appointed.
Well, that was certainly an argument to be made.
That was the original sin. But I mean, Lindsey Graham saying today he's not sure if he can put that crazy couple of Trump and Sessions back together. Maybe Sessions does have to go.
The president's entitled to attorney general he has faith in, somebody that's qualified for the job. And I think there will come a time, sooner rather than later, where it will be time to have a new face and a fresh voice at the Department of Justice. Replacing him before the election, to me, would be a non-starter. But the idea of having a new attorney general in the first term of President Trump's administration, I think is very likely.
Yeah, so there you go. He's telegraphing that Jeff Sessions' days are numbered. After the midterms, regardless of what happens, he's gone. So there you go. He's on the clock.
He sort of said that in that sit-down interview as well. He was asked that, and he talked about how disappointed he was, and I don't know. If we know that Mueller is looking at his tweets, and we know that they're potentially building an obstruction case, I don't think this is wise. But again, this is Trump. He never. I wouldn't say any of his Twitter activity is really wise.
Well, but just understand, whether it's wise or not, it's not evidence of anything. It's not evidence of any wrongdoing. Not even close.
You don't think that they could fold all of these tweets into an overall case that he is intimidating? Maybe obstructing is too strong of a word, but that he
yes, and
that in weighing
he's clearly not intimidating.
In weighing in on a sometimes hourly basis as the president, that he is impeding, obstructing, bullying, influencing. No.
I mean, it's not even close. And by the way, the obstruction play is so interesting because you have all of this exculpatory testimony from Trump antagonists. Andy McCabe and Jim Comey both said, no, never felt unduly influenced, never felt impeded. So the tweets, Jeff Sessions has not changed his position. Jeff Sessions responding, restating his position. Jeff Sessions is not going to withdraw his recusal. So what do you have? An argument on Twitter?
Yes.
That's not criminal.
That's what Twitter's for.
Exactly. Jerry on the north side.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that when President Trump first picked Sessions, MSNBC and CNN, I mean, they called him every name under the sun. He was white racist, KKK.
Yeah.
And lately, he's the darling. I mean, they love him. They're defending him.
That is so true.
Jerry, thanks for the call. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Didn't mean to cut you off. But the easiest way to be rehabilitated or to get glowing reviews in the press is to help the effort to fell Donald Trump. I mean, that's obvious.
Right. We could probably make a long list.
Comey?
Right.
Comey was the bête noire of Camp Clinton, but now he's a national treasure.
Right. All the anti-Trumpers who were the crazy right-wing conservative voice. Now, the Jennifer Rubins, and now they're
Bret Stevens is over at the New York Times.
They're saving the country.
I mean, the fork-tongued Michael Cohen. You wouldn't let that guy. I mean, if you saw that guy and you watched this guy, you would say that guy should be on a street corner selling watches out of his inside coat pocket. But now Michael Cohen is a credible, and Lanny Davis. These are credible people offering damning evidence against the president. You wouldn't believe a word this guy says in any other circumstance except as it pertains to Trump.
Yeah, there's a story out today that when Cohen testified behind closed doors with members of Congress, he actually, on the record, stated that Trump did not know about the exchange of money. So, I mean, the credibility of this person is just, I don't really think we can elevate him. But, you know, he's going to save the country, and he's got the GoFundMe page. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah. Is
how
that
much he's raised.
North of 20 grand yet? How's Lanny doing? Ralph in Rantoul.
Good morning. Trump cannot be accused of something like obstruction if he's going to be removing somebody within his constitutional authority.
Right.
It'd be like a CEO hiring one of his staff members, and then after the hiring, the staff member says, "Oh yeah, by the way, the very thing that you hired me to do, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let my underling do that." It's ridiculous. When I first heard Jeff Sessions was a nominee, I thought, good, could be law and order. Maybe a big difference from the Eric Holder corruption, hide your president behind your wall of criminal behavior. No, not happened. Jeff Sessions came in and immediately went to the barn to become a capon, and that's the way he's been running the place ever since then.
Yeah.
It's been a huge disappointment.
Yeah. All right.
So
Thanks for the call, Ralph. I get that position.
I agree with Ralph. This is within his constitutional authority. But look what happened when he fired James Comey. He drew a special prosecutor. So there are consequences. And I don't think all of this Twitter war with Jeff Sessions, it's not going to have some sort of fallout.
It doesn't mean the consequences are legitimate. It doesn't mean he didn't do the right thing. His real failure with respect to Comey was not firing him on day one. Jordan in Forest Park.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting contrasting character between Cohen and Jeff Sessions. So on the one hand, you've got Trump having an attorney that, you're right, I don't know if anybody would trust this guy doing really anything, but he probably was helpful for Trump with doing aggressive legal work, et cetera, cutting corners where needed, still within the law, but cutting corners. And then he appoints Jeff Sessions, nobody else. He appoints Jeff Sessions. So he dealt his own hand, and now he has to deal with it. He has to either get rid of him or – but Jeff Sessions is who he has always been.
Yes.
He's not going to cut corners. He's not going to be influenced. And Trump knew that, or he should have known that.
Yeah, and don't forget, Jeff Sessions, U.S. Senator, thanks for the call, Jordan. Jeff Sessions was a federal prosecutor. He was a U.S. attorney. So, that there's something about being a prosecutor, particularly at that level. It's a cultural thing. It's a fraternity and sorority, but you know what I'm saying. And so Jordan makes a good point. This is who Jeff Sessions has been for his entire professional career. And if Trump expected something different, then sort of that's on Trump and the selection that he made.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Opportunity Project, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I just wanted to keep you up to date on how things are progressing. So I'm getting Balance of Nature every month, maybe sometimes twice a month, from my friend who had MRI done, CAT scan last week. A very good friend of ours who's a teaching nurse, told me 2 years ago she's going to be gone within 6 months. I'm so happy that for Balance of Nature because anything else was just not doing it for her.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first preferred set of fruits and veggies and have them shipped to you free. Call 800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751, or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
The following is a paid political announcement.
We need strong borders to keep America safe. That's why President Trump is fighting to build the wall. But Senator Joe Donnelly's votes would have made us less safe. In Congress, Donnelly claimed he was, quote, 100% opposed to amnesty. But then he changed his position. In the Senate, Donnelly joined liberals like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and voted to give amnesty to millions of illegal immigrants, even illegal immigrants who had committed serious crimes, including domestic violence and child abuse. Donnelly told us he was against amnesty, but then he voted for amnesty. Call Senator Donnelly at 202-224-4814. Tell him to fight for full border security funding in S3109, Department of Homeland Security Appropriations Act 2019. Amnesty won't keep America safe. Fully securing our border will. Paid for by One Nation. www.onenationamerica.org.
Looking to secure financing on a new home? Then you need to call Team Hochberg. Mitch contacted the nation's largest online lender, obsessed with their rocket for a VA mortgage, but was overwhelmed by their ridiculously high closing costs. So he called Team Hochberg, which he should have done in the first place. Team Hochberg secured Mitch a lower rate with substantially lower closing costs. When securing a VA loan, you can contact the largest online lender who finances the millions of dollars promoting their rocket through higher rates and closing costs. Or you can call a trusted local lender, Team Hochberg, at 312-751-1333, who values the sacrifices you made for our country and has substantially lower closing costs and interest rates, because guess what? We don't have a rocket. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee 4358 and MLS 19186.
Doctor, award-winning chief medical correspondent, and Salon Pass user, Dr. Bob Arnott.
For pain relief, the best solution may surprise you. I found that Salon Pass Lidocaine Plus works best for my pain. It's powerful, available without a prescription, and uses 2 anesthetics to numb nerves right where it hurts. It starts to work on contact, providing effective, lasting pain relief I can count on.
Salon Pause in the silver box with the blue wave.
Live from Chicago, it's Saturday Night Live, The Experience. For the first time ever, get an inside look at the making of SNL. Over 500 artifacts direct from the show. Be a part of Wayne's World, Weekend Update, and so much more. Experience all it takes to put the show together. Now at the Museum of Broadcast Communications at 360 North State Street in Chicago. For tickets, visit museum.tv.
AM 560, The
Answer. Coming up, should Democrats double down on identity politics? A couple of academics write in the Washington Post that they should. We'll talk about this as it impacts the midterm elections. And, oh, by the way, amidst all this Cohen and Manafort business, Republicans seem to be losing the philosophical war on capitalism. But now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
66 degrees, 631, magnitude 7.1 earthquake has struck Peru near the country's borders with Brazil and Bolivia. Hurricane Lane losing strength as it approaches Hawaii. National Weather Service has the latest information on the major storm.
It has already started to show signs of weakening. It has now been dropped down to a Category 3 hurricane with winds of 125 miles per hour.
Flooding and landslides in Hawaii are blocking roads. Lane is also forcing airlines to cancel flights. New York prosecutors may pursue criminal charges against the Trump Organization and two senior company officials. The New York Times reporting the Manhattan District Attorney is considering an investigation connected to payments President Trump's former attorney Michael Cohen made. Australia has a new prime minister. Malcolm Turnbull ousted in a party leadership vote. Treasurer Scott Morrison chosen to replace Turnbull.
I, Scott John Morrison, do swear that I will well and truly serve the people of Australia in the office of Prime Minister, and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of Australia. So help me God.
Earlier this week, Turnbull suggested he would resign from Parliament if he lost his position. He has, and Liberals right now no longer have a majority in Parliament. Could be a wet and stormy start to the high school football season across much of the state of Illinois and the Chicago area. Most of the state at risk of heavy rain and strong and severe storms today. An investigation continues after a fire destroys an historic restaurant in Blue Island. Blaze broke out this morning at the Maple Tree Inn. A cause has not yet been released. Chicago police officer recovering after critical injuries. A semi crashed into an unmarked police vehicle on the south side yesterday near 103rd and Stony Island. And you may know this song. The gentleman who wrote that song, legendary guitarist Ed King, is dead at the age of 68. King played electric and bass for Leonard Skinner, wrote that song, Sweet Home Alabama. His voice is heard, by the way, in the intro on that song, counting up to 3. You've heard it before. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2006. Chicago sports, Javi Baez, Anthony Rizzo belt home runs for the Cubs in a 7-1 victory over the Reds at Wrigley Field. Tigers hit 3 home runs in a 7-2 win over the White Sox. The news a service of Compassion International. For just 5 quarters a day, you can sponsor a child through Compassion International. Pocket change to you, life-changing for a child in need. Be part of the change. Become a sponsor now at compassion.com/radio, compassion.com/radio. 6:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager lays out the conservative mindset.
My position and the position of every conservative I know is we don't care. You could be transgender, you could be cisgender, you could be brother gender, you could be anything you want. We only care about your values. We don't have a position on what you are. Conservatives have a position on what you stand for.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, great coffee, period.
Building owners and managers. Now is the perfect time of year for a service and maintenance agreement with Waukegan Roofing. Since 1914, Waukegan Roofing has been installing and maintaining roofs you can rely on for all of Chicagoland. Our experienced team of professional service technicians is the right solution for preserving the integrity of your new or existing roofing system for years to come. With your dedicated service technician and our multi-point inspection program, we cover all areas of your roof from early detection to preventative maintenance to repairs and everything in between. We're the licensed commercial roofing contractor you can rely on for all your roofing needs. Building owners and managers, now is the time to prepare your low-slope commercial roof for everything that Mother Nature throws at it this year. Call Waukegan Roofing today for your service and maintenance appointment at 877-ROOF-201. That's 877-ROOF-201. Or visit us online at waukeganroofing.com. Waukegan Roofing, installing roofs you can rely on since 1914.
Illinois licensee 104000761.
It is 6:36, and let's get an update on the roads this morning. It's been busy in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim.
That's right, Mike. There is some good news in Blue Island. Western Avenue has reopened after that fire, the major fire at Maple Tree Inn. So Western's open in Broadway and before Vermont Street. I-65 is partially open in Merrillville. Southbound, there are still 2 left lanes blocked at US 30 after a fire had the interstate shut down most of the night. There are northbound delays on I-65 from 113th Avenue to 101st Avenue. That's due to road work in the right lane. Eden's inbound is 21 minutes like Cook to Montrose. Southbound 19, eastbound Spur, it's slow. The toll plaza to Waukegan Road. Kennedy, 29 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 25. Eisenhower, 36 minutes, 390 to the Circle. Outbound 31. Stevenson, 40 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 34. Ryan, 24 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford, just a 1 or 2 minute delay, 111th to Merge. The northbound Tri-State's heavy now. The Reagan Tollway most of the way to Lawrence. Traffic, service of Applebee's. Back to school is a whole lot tastier. The kids eat free at Applebee's, Monday through Thursday, now through August 30th. Get 1 kid's meal free with each adult entree. Dine-in only, valid for kids 12 and under ordering from the kids menu. Participating Applebee's locations only. Applebee's makes back to school taste better. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, and to your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Periods of rain begin a little later on this morning. You can see right now on the radar that the rain is slowly crawling to us. Ottawa, Sterling, Rockford, seeing rain right now. High near 71 later today. Low 65 overnight, and a humid, warmer day tomorrow, and a high of 86. Currently 65. Next news coming up at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business and jobs powered by Tandem HR. Heard Sunday evenings at 6.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Kristen McQuarrie of Chicago Tribune Editorial Board. We've had a rousing morning. Taking your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line, 646-36DA, turnkey.pro text line. Let's talk a little bit about what the left wants to do, how they aim to do it, and how they're doing. Ambrose Bierce, the great American poet and writer. You ever read The Devil's Dictionary?
No.
You should.
Urban Dictionary?
The Devil's Dictionary?
Urban Dictionary?
No.
Okay.
No. This was a man of letters, Mr. Bierce. He observed about the turn of the 20th century, talking about the socialist movement. How long this has been going on, right? A little historical perspective. How patient and relentless are those who seek to subjugate you. The socialist movement is, as a social and political force in this country, talking about America, is born of envy, the true purpose of its activities, revenge. In the shadow of our national prosperity, it whets its knife for the throats of the prosperous. It unleashes the hounds of hate upon the track of success, the only kind of success that it covets and derides. So that's the true purpose. It sort of predates Winston Churchill's creed of ignorance, gospel of envy, talking about socialism in the context of World War II. So how's it going in America for the left? Well, you've got a supermajority of Republican-controlled state legislatures. You got a supermajority of Republican governors. You got Republican control of the House and the Senate. You got a Republican president. And this news out this week, 52% of kids live in households getting mean-tested government assistance. And we know that, I mean, this is just statistical research. The surest way to predict someone's vote and for someone to be a reliable vote for the socialists, Democrats, be a recipient of government benefits. I mean, it's just nearly a one-to-one conversion. You put somebody on government benefits, you can count on them to be a Democrat voter. You remove somebody and you see a significant drop-off, or somebody removes themselves, you see a significant drop-off in terms of their reliability as a Democrat voter. This is why dependency is so critical to the Democrat strategy of government control, you know, them being in power to extend government control. Just to put a fine point on it, 2016, this is from the Census Bureau, 73.5 million people under the age of 18, and 38 million of them, 52%, reside in households in which one or more persons receive benefits from a means-tested government program. We're talking about food stamps, Medicaid, public housing, SSI, and TANF, National School Lunch Program. More than half of the children in America live in a household in which one or more people receive benefits from a means-tested government program.
Does that surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me, but it's an indictment of, both political parties, and it's an expression of where we have gone from Ambrose Bierce's time at the turn of the century to 2018.
If they're means tested, I'm sure there's a lot to be debated about that. But if they're means tested, then is it less objectionable?
No, it's not no, it's more objectionable because you're keeping people dependent. This is not compassion. This is predatory. This is predatory government. This is subjugating people. This is literally feudalism, serfdom. These are serfs. And the longer you keep somebody in that dependency trap, the more difficult you make it for them to get out, the quicker you crush their souls. There is nothing compassionate about making somebody else rely on you.
I agree with you, but it's such a difficult political argument to make.
No, it's not. It's a difficult political argument to make
to win
because nobody makes
convince.
it.
I think people make it.
You have such low expectations for individuals that are in a dependency state, temporary, all for the social safety net. This is why America is great. That social safety net largely through private action, the platoons of democracy that I like to speak about, as Burke and de Tocqueville did, because that's the real civic society. It's not redundant and competing government dependency programs. And my point about talking about the political landscape at present is you don't have Republicans making this argument about the welfare state. You don't have it, including the president, who doesn't want to go after entitlements.
Right. He is talking about work requirements, though. So we're sort of dipping our toe into the waters.
That's better with
but
Medicaid,
you
yes.
know what happens when Republicans do start talking about this. It happened in Illinois when Bruce Rauner at one point tried to just change some of the requirements for subsidized child care. Because even though these say means tested, there's a lot of fraud, there's a lot of abuse, there's not a lot of proof that you have to show.
There's a lot of exemptions for possessions you have and income you receive.
Yes. And so he tried to just basically clean up that program and make sure that people who actually qualify for subsidized child care can receive it. And of course, we're a broke state, so all of these programs need to be audited. And he was put through the ringer. I don't even know if he ever ended up getting what he wanted.
Fracking
well,
who?
I know. I'm just.
You think any of this is easy? Obviously, unwinding a catastrophe is more difficult than cheerleading one.
Well, I know, but I watched some of that debate on the House floor, and maybe you saw it too. But somebody like Representative Jeannie Ives, who was trying to make this argument, you automatically go to a place of you are a cruel human being.
Fine.
Okay, I'm just.
I know.
I know you know this, but
the point, and I'm glad you're bringing it up, because the point is to say, if you can take the left's rhetoric and come back over the top with the actual consequences of their policies, then you don't belong in office. You certainly don't belong as a standard bearer for the Republican Party, in my view. I mean, honestly. Oh, no, somebody's going to call you mean. Are you a child? Is this a playground? We're talking about tens of millions of lives and families that are being destroyed, just as they've been destroyed for the last 50 years, really 80 years, by the welfare state. But some jackass in the press corps, some ignoramus on the House floor is going to call you names. So, hey, I tried, but they called me names, so then I wilted like a flower.
That is what happens.
I know it's what happens, but my point.
And
that's,
it's hard
that's
to
my
make
point.
an argument to take away subsidized childcare so that a mom could actually go to work.
But the point is that it's right, because some Republicans are terrible at messaging, and they're cowards, and they think they can just like, I'm making government work, and they're going to get applause or something from people that despise them and again seek government control, which is really their end game. If you're standing in the way of me subjugating more people, then you're standing in the way of socialism. Then guess what? The socialists aren't going to help your case or your cause. So understand the landscape, number one. Number two, you make a holistic argument. This is system change. This is not subsidized. This is not one little puzzle piece. This is providing all the puzzle pieces connected so people can see the picture. And that's what Republicans don't do. But I'm going to get, mau-mau'd by leftists who destroy people, who've destroyed urban centers throughout this country that they've run for 100 years, like Chicago. The hell with it. And what Bruce Rauner has found out, since you're using his as an example, he's a great one. If you stand for nothing and you wilt in the face of pressure on everything, then you get no one. So, if that's not a cautionary tale, I don't know what is. And by the way, it's not just the 52% of kids in households right now. It's where this train is headed. 70% of Americans support, quote unquote, Medicare for all in a new poll.
I know.
That's called a single payer.
I hear these arguments all the time from people I work with, and
Fox News poll: Obamacare more popular than GOP tax cuts.
Yeah, are 57% tax rates popular, like a lot of the single-payer systems in Europe have? Do you think that would go over well with the public? Our new federal tax rate, most of us falling into a 57% bracket. How would that work out?
How's your? If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor going.
Right.
I mean, but you have to. I mean, maybe I'm not the proper temperance messenger on these topics. But you have got to put it between people's eyes and connect dots and be as relentless in advance of liberty as they are in advance of domineering socialism, which is a redundancy. Bruce in Bloomingdale, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I guess I'm all for a social safety net, but we've turned it into a hammock. And I don't care how strong the tree is, you hang enough hammocks off it, the tree's going to break.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Bruce. I mean, that's it. There's a Mark Perry over at Carpe Diem blog posted a great little cartoon of, how the welfare state starts, and it's a bunch of people pulling a few people in a cart. How the welfare state ends, and it's a bunch of people in the cart with just a few people pulling. Well, we're there in Illinois and nationally. And the approach, I think part of the mistake we make just in terms of messaging is to say, oh, well, it's a hammock, like people are lazy and stuff. People aren't smart. No, that's the low expectations, the bigotry of low expectations of the left. People are smart, and I don't care if you didn't have to graduate from Northwestern to be smart. You know what people are responding to that are so many of these dependents? The incentives presented by a predatory state to induce you into a life of dependency. But if you say you get $40,000 all in from the federal and state government to not work, and I have to bust my ass, and maybe I didn't have the character formation at home or in the schools growing up to know that there's that work is soul craft in addition to a way to make a living. But if I have to bust my ass to work my way up the ladder from $25,000 to $35,000 to $40,000 to $45,000 over years, why don't I just take what they're given? That's not stupidity. That's responding to incentives.
Yes, and I've been waiting for the Republican Party since we just overhauled the tax code, we simplified it. That's great. But we still incentivize people to stay home. You start getting penalized under the federal tax code once you start earning more than like $23,000. If you get married, then you get penalized. We should be encouraging. Our tax code is just backwards in terms of trying to help people at the bottom of the ladder and then removing those incentives. We encourage people to not work through the tax code.
You know, if you like your capitalism, you better fight for it, because the prevailing opinion is going the other direction with respect to the state, and there's a lot of Republicans or conservatives that don't seem game for the fight. Bessie in Grays Lake.
I just wanted to say that John Huber was hired back in April, and everyone seems to have forgotten about him. And maybe he's making headway, and that's why the U.S. Attorney's Office is punching back a little on Trump. And there's a little kabuki theater going on Twitter.
Okay, thanks for the call, Bessie. Richard in DeKalb.
How you doing, sir? I talk to socialists and won't stop. I will keep on debating them all day long. It's a product like nothing other. One thing about this millennials and whatever they are after the millennials is they're product driven. If I'm going to get an Apple computer, it's because it does things better than a Microsoft computer.
Or because it's cool. Or because it's cool and it's challenging the status quo.
Once socialism is described, once you start saying, listen, it's great if you live in a city, in a tight city, where everybody has to pay for trash and all this stuff. But they want to take away your land. They want to take away your rights to freedom. They want to decide. When you start picking and choosing and picking out what socialism actually is, the Democratic Socialist Party of America, what they want to do, they're rejected like that. It's rejected. So I think it's you worry too much about something that once it's actually fought and exposed, will fold like cheap napkins.
Well, I mean, 52% of kids living in American households on some anti-poverty program. Thanks for the call, Richard. It doesn't seem like we're winning. So I think my fear is justified. And here's the thing, because I've heard that case to be made before. I think you're right. I think Richard DeKalb is right that a lot of people who say they're socialists or are attracted by the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez empty-headedness don't know what socialism is. Here's my fear. My fear is there's a whole lot of people who don't know what capitalism is. My fear is there's a whole lot of people that are center-right in perspective that don't understand what capitalism is, that aren't really committed to the economic liberty agenda, that aren't willing to fight for it in the in the face of popular opinion. So you tell me, do you see the federal government, the deregulation under Trump notwithstanding, is the federal government constricting? Or is it becoming more expansive? Less people dependent? Our phony baloney low unemployment rate notwithstanding? More people dependent in a material way out of the workforce? It doesn't seem like we're winning.
I don't know if I'm conflating issues here, too, but when I do hear people constantly talk about single payer, including my own parents, I do think they don't understand what that would mean in terms of pocketbook issues. And if you look at places like Ireland, 48% income tax rate, Germany, 47%, Italy, 48%, France, 50%, and now they're talking about if you make over $1 million, 75%. So if you make it into more of a pocketbook issue, maybe people would understand more why we wouldn't tolerate that as Americans, I don't think.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Kroger owned grocery stores to stop using plastic bags. Facebook yanking more apps, and mortgage interest rates dropped slightly for a third week in a row. Those stories next.
Hi, this is Rhett Rasmussen of BestHotGrill.com. You've heard about our Solaire infrared grills at BestHotGrill.com, but did you know we also make the best gas logs for your fireplace? You've probably seen Rasmussen gas logs and fireballs on TV and in the movies. We've got sizes to fit all fireplaces, styles to fit every decor, and we even do custom designs for large and unusual fireplaces. Lighting these logs is as easy as pushing a button. Realistic Rasmussen gas logs look great even when the fire is off. For regions prone to power outages, gas logs are an excellent source of emergency heat with no electricity required. We've been making them since the 50s, so you can buy a Rasmussen gas log with confidence. So go to besthotgrill.com to find the products you need to keep you warm inside and outside of your home while eating great grilled food. Learn more at besthotgrill.com. That's besthotgrill.com, besthotgrill.com.
The nation's largest grocery chain will phase out the use of plastic bags in its stores by 2025. It begins with its stores in Seattle. Kroger operates nearly 2,800 grocery stores and orders about 6 billion bags each and every year. Facebook has pulled one of its own products from Apple's App Store because it didn't stop tracking people's activity on their iPhones. Facebook has banned thousands of apps, suspended more than 400 of them over data sharing concerns. Long-term mortgage interest rates have fallen for a third straight week, still higher than a year ago. Freddie Mac says the average rate on 30-year fixed-rate mortgages fell to 4.53% this week. Please tune in to Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
You remember a simpler time when family fun was about having fun. It didn't include the kids glued to their tablets or smartphones. Well, real family fun is back at Gobert's Pumpkin Patch. For almost 70 years, Gobert's has been Chicagoland's family destination for fall fun.
This was the most fun day ever. My parents were there, my kids were there. There was a pumpkin patch, a maze, a haunted house, slides, a train, a fresh market, and there was so much more. I loved it.
It's a family tradition for us to visit Gobert's every October. The pumpkins are great, the attractions are fun, and the apple cider donuts are to die for.
Loved it. One price to get in, and almost all the activities were free. My kids had a blast.
Listen to the kids.
My mom loves the homemade caramel apples.
I have to say, the pumpkin cannon is cool.
They got a pumpkin-eating dinosaur. The live giraffe is really cool.
I love the jumping pillow and the Pumpkin Express train ride.
Gobert's Pumpkin Patch in Pingree Grove. Pick apples, explore the pumpkin patch, play games, ride the train. Gobert'sPumpkinPatch.com. Harvesting family memories.
Recovery from mental and substance use disorders is real. It happens every day. You can recover. Discover hope and help.
Never give up on yourself.
Join the Voices for Recovery. For confidential information for mental and substance use disorders, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I've got ankylosing spondylitis, which is a arthritic disease, calcification of the major joints in the spine, and I just don't have the pain that I used to have. It's really kind of amazing. Balance of Nature has been an amazing product. I've recommended it to literally hundreds. I'm a pastor, and I've said, y'all just try it. Give it a month. Give it a try. And so hopefully they have. But it's an amazing product, and the neatest thing is when you first open up that bottle, and you can smell the fruits and vegetables. Every time I open one, I just get a big kick out of that.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first preferred set of fruits and veggies and have them shipped to you free. Call 800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751, or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Highland Park Ford Lincoln's in the house. Here's Alan Marty.
We're back on the radio and getting bigger than ever.
We're the #1 Lincoln dealer in town.
And Chicagoland's first ever Ford Lincoln Superstore, too.
Folks like our great deals, for sure.
Just yesterday, I got attacked by the paparazzi.
Really?
But I think the groupies are the worst.
Groupies?
All the Highland Park groupies we have.
Sure. Right, Al.
The Highland Park Ford Lincoln Superstore. Call 1-800-984-9000 or go to alanmarty.com.
Well, I have groupies.
A rich fantasy life is important.
This is Alan Marty. Deal with us.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
Looking to the other side. I'm Chris Foster. Fox News. President Trump on Twitter urges Attorney General Jeff Sessions to investigate Hillary Clinton, James Comey, and others after Sessions put out a statement saying the Department of Justice will not be improperly influenced by political considerations.
South Carolina Republican Lindsey Graham expects a vote on a new Attorney General sooner rather than later.
The president's entitled to Attorney General he has faith in.
somebody that's qualified for the job.
But Graham says a confirmation for a new AG before the midterms is a non-starter. And the number 2 Senate Republican John Cornyn doubts there's time or a nominee who could be confirmed right now. Nebraska Republican Ben Sass says firing Sessions is a very, very, very bad idea, warning he finds it hard to envision voting for a successor if Sessions is fired.
Because he's executing his job rather than choosing to act as a partisan hack.
On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
We're hearing some maybe juicy stuff was locked up at the National Enquirer headquarters, some of it about President Trump. More from Fox's Rachel Sutherland.
Chris, the National Enquirer kept scandalous stories and documents related to hush money locked in a safe as part of the CEO's relationship with then-candidate Trump in the lead-up to the 2016 election. The tabloid's chief, David Pecker, has been granted immunity by federal prosecutors who are looking into possible campaign finance violations. Sources say the documents were removed from the safe before President Trump's inauguration over concerns they could be used against parent company American Media. It's unclear whether the materials were destroyed or moved to another location. Chris.
Rachel, thanks. Hurricane Lane's getting closer to Hawaii.
Winds to 120 miles an hour, gusting up to 150 miles an hour. It continues to make a track right towards the islands of Maui, moving at north at 6 miles an hour. This is a real slow mover. Now, the rain has been heaviest so far in Hawaii's Big Island, as much as 2 feet of rain in some locations already.
That's Fox meteorologist Adam Klotz. Fox News. Fair and balanced.
7:02 on AM 560. The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 66 degrees, and an investigation continues this morning into a fire that destroyed a historic restaurant in Blue Island. The blaze broke out early this morning at the Maple Tree Inn. The building dates back to the 1800s and an anchor of that historic Blue Island retail district. No injuries were reported. A Geneva man found guilty of murdering his wife in 2014 will get a new trial. An Illinois appeals court reversed the conviction of Shadwick King this week. King is already serving a 30-year sentence for the killing of his wife, Kathleen. Illinois Attorney General Lisa Madigan plans in the waning months of her office to meet with the Chicago Archdiocese to discuss sexual abuse by priests. Madigan announcing yesterday that talks will revolve around 7 priests with Illinois connections, all part of a Pennsylvania grand jury report on clergy sex abuse. Prosecutors are asking a federal judge in Chicago to impose an above-the-guidelines 10-year prison sentence on a former Mexican police intelligence unit commander for divulging U.S. secrets to the Beltran-Leyva drug cartel for cash. Ivan Arzate, who worked closely for years with U.S. agents before spilling his secrets, has been jailed in Chicago since early last year. Illinois toll booth violators getting closer to be giving just a little more time to pay those online missed tolls. State Tollway Board voting to give drivers an extra 14 days to cover the cost. Another committee must now approve that new rule. Javi Baez, Anthony Rizzo belt home runs in a Cubs 7-1 win over the Reds at Wrigley Field. Tigers hit 3 home runs in a 7-2 win over the White Sox in Detroit. Bears host the Chiefs tomorrow in the 4th of their 5 preseason football games, but this game is a little different. It kicks off at noon at Soldier Field. The news service of Compassion International, sponsoring a child with compassion, is the most effective way to end extreme child poverty. Release a child from poverty when you become a Compassion sponsor. Choose your child now at compassion.com/radio and do your part to release a child from poverty today. 7:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity, The Sean Hannity Show.
I love the fact we can now say American made, American jobs, American manufacturing, American products, made in America. Well, Hannity, that is very myopic of you. I'm not going to ever apologize for wanting the people in this country to have the most opportunity first.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Ryan Siebert, CEO of SG Home Builders and a customer of Signature Bank. Over the last 10 years, my business pivoted multiple times to adjust to the fluctuations in the Chicago real estate market. Signature Bank's partnership with us and their ability to adapt to changes has allowed us to become a leading custom home builder. Signature Bank is a relationship-based business bank right here in Chicago, providing services and advice that address our unique situation, and they serve as a trusted consultant on what works best for my business. Signature Bank helped us build SG Home Builders while we were busy building dream homes for our clients.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's the Ford Summer Sales Event. And now, while selection is best, it's the best time to buy. With amazing offers across a full lineup of Ford vehicles, now is the time to make summer go right with Ford, America's best-selling brand. Stop by a local Ford store or shop online at buyfordnow.com, because there is no better time than right now to get behind the wheel of a new Ford during the Ford Summer Sales Event. The Ford Summer Sales Event is here. Right now, get 0% APR financing for 60 months plus $1,000 bonus cash on the 2018 EcoSport. Best-selling claim based on 2017 calendar year sales. Not all buyers will qualify for Ford credit financing. 60 months at $1,667 per month for $1,000 finance regardless of down payment. For all offers, take new retail delivery from an authorized Ford dealer stock by 8/31/18. See dealer or go to buyfordnow.com for qualifications and details.
.706, a check on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The eastbound Eden Spur has delays from the Tri-State to Waukegan Road now. The inbound Edens is 21 minutes from Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 20. Kennedy inbound delays start at Sayre, 32 minutes O'Hare to downtown. 19 from Montrose, 17 in the Express. Outbound 12 minutes to Montrose, 28 to the airport. About Eisenhower. Slow just between Costner and the Bird Circle right now. 35 minutes, 390 to downtown. Outbound 33. Northbound I-55. Delays are from Weber to 53 and Central to Kedzie. 45 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 40. On Ryan, 25 minutes, 95th to downtown. Traffic's light on I-57 to Bishop Ford. Southbound Lakeshore Drive is okay. Northbound heavy from the Stevenson to Jackson. Northbound Tri-State. Jammed from the Reagan Tollway to Lawrence. Northbound Veterans Memorial stop and go. Fountain Toll to the Reagan Tollway. Crash on eastbound I-80 at the Des Plaines River Bridge in the left lane. I-65 has northbound delays, 113th to 101st Avenue. That's due to construction of the right lane. Southbound at US 30, two left lanes remain closed after a major wreck which happened last night. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center, here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Periods of rain late this morning, otherwise it will be cloudy and breezy throughout the day today with a high getting up to 71. Humid for tonight, turning out to be mostly cloudy with a shower or thunderstorm, low 65. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
65 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 7:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by 1-800-4BLIND-CHICAGO.com. Call 773-447-5448 and get the sun out of your eyes.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie, she of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And, we had so much fun with Lanny Davis yesterday, Kristen, and you did such a great job trying to help him raise money for Michael Cohen's GoFundMe page and campaign.
Yeah, I actually stood out at the intersection this morning out here with a cup, and it's coming. Donations are coming slowly, but surely.
Well, you have an empathy I just don't possess. I mean, you see a tragedy like what befell Michael Cohen, as Lanny Davis described it, and you act. And that's,
I jumped.
You're a better
person.
person.
Into action.
You're a better person.
Yeah.
So with Lanny,
none of this was self-inflicted on his part. Michael Cohen, he's right. just a victim of circumstance. Throw up your hands. It happens.
Sometimes your debt load misstates itself in bank documents. So that can happen, sure. And then we also had to figure out if Lanny Davis was going to come clean about being Saul Rosenberg from the Jerky Boys. And we're still waiting for a response of whether he's going to admit that.
Haven't seen him in a room together.
He was one of the original Jerky Boys. So we didn't get to Chuck Todd, but Chuck Todd made some rather interesting pronouncements right after the day of the Michael Cohen plea agreement and the Manafort conviction. Listen to Chuck Todd suggesting what Republicans would be doing if we had a functional Congress.
Here's what it could mean. It could mean that you now have the President of the United States accused of committing a federal crime. The way a functional Washington would work is that Congress, there is a process here. The sitting president is accused of a crime. The Judiciary Committee and the House of Representatives would begin to look to see if there's enough evidence to start investigating and drawing up articles of impeachment. But this is not a functional Congress. This is a Congress controlled by Republicans. They'd have to do this on their own president. But I have to tell you, I think there is going to be increased political heat, and you're going to have a divided Republican Party. Those that are fearing Trump as a drag, and then those that know that his base is there to the end.
And in addition to that, Chuck Todd had a message for Paul Ryan as he exits stage left after the end of the year.
I do think Paul Ryan needs to think long and hard about the future of the Republican Party. This is your last chance off this train. And it looks like Manafort and Cohen only have more to say, only may cooperate more. This could get worse. Ryan's retiring. I think he actually could do the party a favor. And if you just start the procedure in the House Judiciary Committee, you give some home, you give some place for Republicans getting nervous.
You know, it's so interesting to me when you have a leftist like Chuck Todd offer advice to the Republican Party, what the left likes to do, kind of woo you in. Hey, look, I'm worried about what's going to happen to your party. So you don't have to fully surrender right now. Just begin the surrender, begin the orderly surrender to save your party. Okay, hey, thanks for the tip, Chuck.
Also, he's supposed to be a straight shooter. You know, he's not on the opinion side, right?
No.
He is supposed to be a straight shooter.
But
he is going to the wall, giving advice on how to save Paul Ryan's legacy by starting impeachment.
And the Republican, this is the last moment to get off the train is essentially what he said, isn't it? The train's leaving the station. You better get off now. Paul, don't do this, man. Don't do this to yourself and your party.
I mean, honestly, and he probably really thinks that was very, prophetic what he said.
Let's see if we can get more dispassionate analysis than Chuck Todd. Pleased to be joined again by our friend Bret Baier, Fox News anchor, of course, special report, weekdays 5 p.m. Chicago time. The book, 3 Days in Moscow, Ronald Reagan and the Fall of the Soviet Empire. Bret, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. I keep pleaded with a lawmaker to do something. I don't know. I don't think I've done that, no.
You don't think you've done, I'm sorry, we missed that first part. You don't think you've done what with a lawmaker?
I don't think I've pleaded with a lawmaker to do anything.
Please don't. It's not a good look.
Yeah, so is that what you're hearing from the Hill is let's begin the orderly surrender from Republican leadership?
No. I mean, listen, there is concern in the Republican ranks. They don't know where this is going. But there is not like, this is one of the avenues we should definitely take. Start impeachment. No, that's not going to happen. I don't know where the wishful world is that Chuck is in, but it's not going to happen.
Well, and he needs
it's dysfunctional.
Yeah.
He says it's dysfunctional. It's not dysfunctional. Tell me a Democratic Congress that will start it, judging by the facts that we have on the table now, and a Democratic president. Do you think that they would start impeachment in the Judiciary Committee?
Right, and before he makes his plea to Paul Ryan, he's got to make it to Nancy Pelosi, who said impeachment is not a priority after the Cohen plea.
Yeah, and listen, it could get to impeachment. Who knows? But what they have now on the table, the thing that they're debating up on Capitol Hill, whether that's a campaign violation. And, I think you can go around the horn. Alan Dershowitz thinks one thing. Other legal experts think other things.
Right.
But what is clear is that it's not enough to impeach the president as of yet.
So I can't help but keep referring back to Bill Clinton and looking at how Democrats then during impeachment debate were quoting the Bible. They were protecting him. I'm not joking. They were quoting the Bible and talking about sin. Here was someone with charges of perjury and obstruction of justice. And in the Senate, we had Dick Durbin, who's still there, who voted not guilty on both of those charges with Bill Clinton. What are your thoughts as we seem to be kind of entering this again? Do you see comparisons to the Bill Clinton situation, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. And there will be a lot of comparisons. There will be a lot of sound bites on both sides that are hypocrisy central. You know, Lindsey Graham will be, he was trying the case in the Senate against Clinton. So there will be sound bites of Lindsey Graham saying, you don't have to have a crime. You need to move forward. This is about the sanctity of the office. And he will likely say something different now. But what is key is what are the high crimes and misdemeanors? What is the case that opens up the can of worms? We may get there with a report from Mueller sometime before the midterms. We don't know. But right now, what's on the table it doesn't seem like enough to open up either party launching that.
Speaking of Lindsey Graham, he's also changed his tune, maybe too strong, but he seems to recognize the reality on the ground. But in terms of the relationship between President Trump and Jeff Sessions, that Lindsey Graham telegraphing essentially my read that Jeff Sessions is gone after the midterm election.
Yeah, he's not alone. I mean, Chuck Grassley, the chair of that committee, had said that there was no way that they would do hearings for another AG, and now yesterday said, well, I could find time. That's a different signal. It's a different signal, and if you look at the president's tweets this morning, it's not going in the right direction.
Now, we had a caller earlier in the show sort of make a good point that I had forgotten about, that back in the spring, Jeff Sessions tasked this U.S. attorney out of Utah, John Huber, with investigating Republican allegations of FBI wrongdoing and wrongdoing in connection with the Hillary Clinton email case as well, or mishandling of that case. And sort of, I remember that task being handed to that U.S. attorney, and then sort of we haven't heard anything more about it in the intervening 5 months now.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we had the IG report from Horowitz,
right,
and that listed all kinds of things related to that. But you're right, that U.S. attorney we haven't heard from. I think the IG is going to have another report about the early stages of the Trump investigation, which probably will be filled with some other doozies in there. And I think that the president wants to see something from Sessions or Rosenstein about this side of the investigation.
What did you think in his sit-down yesterday with your network? What was the most surprising thing that he addressed? And if you could also, you've defended the press in his attacks of enemy of the people. He sort of walked that back a little bit. What are your thoughts in general about that sit-down interview?
Yeah. Well, listen, he said not everybody in the media is enemy of the people, but 80% is fake news. He said fake news is the enemy of the people. And, listen, I've said before, I don't like that term because fake news is in the eye of the beholder. Sometimes fake news for the president is news that he doesn't like. And it's easy. You just put the stamp on it and then tweet it out. Other times it's very justified as various outlets go over their skis in their kind of hatred for this guy. And so what was most surprising to me was his kind of walking back the payment to the women and kind of talking about it very differently than he's talked about it before.
Yeah, what was most surprising to me is that Melania is doing very well, though she doesn't like a lot of the press coverage. I mean, the Melania question, which Ainsley sort of softballed, which is appropriate, just to get a response, because people are thinking about that. How is Melania reacting to all of this swirl? And frankly, an understanding that Trump may have been something less than truthful about his extracurricular activities. Maybe she knows. Maybe that's all been settled between them. Who knows? I don't know. But certainly, that relationship is something of public interest.
Yeah. I mean, and she's kept a very low profile. She did have that one event about, social media, and some people took it, is she trolling her husband? She's taking a solo trip to Africa coming up in coming weeks. A lot of people are reading the tea leaves there. But the main thing is what's getting done in Washington and what isn't getting done. And it's really interesting. You have, last thing, you have the iceberg above the water, which is all of the controversy, the day-to-day, the tweets, the craziness. And then there is an iceberg below the water that a lot of stuff is changing in Washington, regulations, how things work. And we're trying to cover all of that.
Right, and you got Kavanaugh hearing starting right after Labor Day, so more changes afoot. He is Bret Baier, Fox News anchor, special report, weekdays, 5 p.m. The new book, 3 Days in Moscow, Ronald Reagan and the Fall of the Soviet Empire. Bret, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Andy, join us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Success happens with an affordable full-time IT staff from Turnkey IT. Just listen.
We're a contracting architecture firm with 50 employees in 2 states. We hosted our own email and file and print servers on a local area network, and the systems were always down more than they were up. Very frustrating. Turnkey IT migrated our email to Office 365 and simplified our network using additional cloud-based systems and cool advanced technologies. All our company's local data is backed up and replicated, security measures are in place to avoid dangerous threats online, and we have a really nice voice-over IP phone system. Remote users can make phone calls and appear like they're in the office when they're at a construction site. With reliable systems, our employees are more productive, and that's transformed the company's bottom line. Thank you, Turnkey IT.
Your business can have great success, too, with a full-time IT staff starting at $7.95 a month from Turnkey IT.
Leave the technical stuff to the pros so you can focus on the important things. Visit turnkey.pro today. Turnkey.pro.
Discover Westmont, a community nestled in the heart of DuPage County. With top-notch schools, beautiful affordable housing, and excellent dining and shopping, Westmont makes a great place to live, work, and play. Choose Westmont. Discover how your business can flourish and grow with a wonderful central location providing rapid access to Chicago's key expressways, airports, and many family-friendly amenities. Add quick transportation on the Burlington train line, and that means simple and easy travel for everyone. Westmont is committed to working collaboratively with you to facilitate inquiries about your family or business relocation. We'll help your company navigate to Westmont for a great experience. Call Larry Forsberg at Westmont Economic Development at 630-824-9337. That's 630-824-9337 to find out about incentives that can help you plan your development, relocation, or expansion. Discover all Westmont has to offer. For more information, visit ChooseWestmont.com. That's ChooseWestmont.com.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-694-2640 now. That's 800-694-2640 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-694-2640 to learn more. 800-694-2640. That's 800-694-2640. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
What if you could enjoy total peace of mind when it comes to home security?
What if the best technology came from a local company who puts the customer's needs first? Alarm Detection Systems is the right choice for an alarm system with complete control from your phone or tablet. Know when your children arrive home from school. View live streaming video. Check up on your pets. Receive alerts for extreme temperatures. Know if leaks or floods have been detected. Get real-time text alerts sent to your phone. Family-owned and operated since 1968, Alarm Detection Systems understands that nothing is more important than the safety of your family. Your security system will be monitored by our central station in Aurora, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Alarm Detection Systems is an authorized Honeywell equipment dealer. Our on-site security consultation is always free. Visit adsalarm.com or call 630-844-6322. That's 630-844-6322. Alarm license number 127000143.
My name is Lauren Sullivan, and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 9 years ago, and I was severely disabled. And about 6 years ago, my mother had found Balance of Nature, so we decided to give it a try because at that point, nothing was helping. I was skeptical at first, but over time I realized I had more energy levels. I was sleeping better, which was huge, and my hair looked better, my skin looked better, my nails looked better, and then I was able to weed off some of those medications. And I know, had I not found Balance of Nature, I would not be living the quality of life that I am now.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first preferred set of fruits and veggies and have them shipped to you free. Call 800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751, or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Have you heard about New Life Church Cadets? New Life Church Cadets is a Christian club for boys grades 2 through 8th in New Lenox, Illinois. They also have clubs in the south and southwest suburbs of Chicago, as well as northwest Indiana. In Cadets, boys discover who God is and how He works in their lives and in the world by learning and doing through Bible lessons, merit badge work, crafts, service projects, Pine Car Derby, and camping. Cadets is a part of the Calvinist Cadet Corps, a non-denominational organization whose goal is to help boys grow more Christ-like in all areas of life by providing Christian men to act as leaders and mentors, working alongside the boys. To learn more, visit newlifenewlenox.org or call 815-462-0202. In today's culture, where males take a beating for being what God created them to be, New Life Church Cadets celebrates the male and shows boys how to become Christ-like men.
As you approach retirement, it's important to determine the amount of income you can receive from Social Security. Depending on when and how distributions are taken, you may be able to optimize the benefits you're eligible to receive, particularly among married couples. Call Jack Tabota today to get a copy of his informational booklet, The Social Security Decisions. This informational booklet presents the facts about Social Security distribution options to help you determine when and how to begin taking distributions, so you may receive more income over the course of your retirement. To receive your Social Security Decisions informational booklet, call Jack at 630-777-7955 or visit Tabota.com. That's TEBODA.com. Get the most out of your Social Security benefits. Call today, 630-777-7955.
Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and Tabota & Associates are not affiliated companies. Tabota & Associates is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
Your local 1 hour heating and air conditioning knows how miserable it feels when your AC goes out. You want it fixed fast, fixed right, and get a fast quote. Unlike some companies, we don't give you a quote until we actually see what the problem is. Then we'll give you our straightforward price and always stand by our work. Right now, get savings on any AC repair. Call 855-1-HOUR.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1 hour.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Kristen McCleary in for Amy J this morning. And Kristen, are you done with that diaper? That's going to be something at the bar scene. Oh.
No.
Excuse me.
No.
I ask because there's a new probiotic drink that's all the craze.
I don't even want to know where you're headed.
It's healthy. It's organic. It already comes at a smoothie-like consistency. It's baby poo. Baby poo smoothie is the latest probiotic drink scientists have created, made from scouring the nappies of infants and then culturing the bacteria they find within. This is not junk science. They tested the resulting drink on mice and on a simulation of the human gut. They claim it can help people with diseases such as diabetes and autoimmune disorders by improving their production of short-chain fatty acids. That's called science, and that's called a cheap sound effect.
So should I bring one for you? Next week we'll try it out, see if it helps you with some of your digestive issues.
If I had diabetes or an autoimmune disorder and this was the only cure, I would just sign off.
It's science.
Had a good run. Not going out that way. I'll see you on the other side.
Would you drink breast milk? That's often what baby excrement is made of. So that's the connection here.
You're disgusting. Coming up at...
Let me
I
introduce
don't know
you to
how
Greek
Amy
yogurt.
does this.
It's a
I
lot
don't know.
safer. It tastes a lot better.
Coming up, that's it. That's also has those
Amy, come
probiotics
back.
that the kids are like.
Yeah.
Amy, come back.
Coming up at 7:37, free college tuition the capitalist way at 7:37, where we try and get the conversation out of diapers and the gutter that Kristen McQuarrie took it to. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Gray skies, 66 degrees. We've been watching for you this morning, and you've been watching as well, the heavy rains and flooding from Hurricane Lane. It's massive in Hawaii, parts of the Big Island reporting over 2 feet already. Honolulu Mayor Kirk Caldwell says the flooding is beginning to hit that city.
That is our intention right now, to be the warning to go if you feel you need to go, and then to pay attention to what's happening around you.
People living along the coast of Hawaii, the islands, being warned of major storm surges above normal tide levels and surf as high as 20 feet. President Trump tweeting this morning that Attorney General Jeff Sessions should look into what the president called the corruption on the other side. Over a couple of tweets, the president listed allegations of deleted emails, James Comey, Robert Mueller conflicts, and FISA warrant abuse. Russia may ban more U.S. politicians from entering that country. The deputy foreign ministry of that country saying in an interview today the move is in response to new U.S. sanctions. California state lawmakers want to put Verizon on the hot seat. They want to know why they slowed data speeds for firefighters battling the largest wildfire in that state's history, the Mendocino Complex fire. Verizon apparently slowed internet speeds for firefighters to 1/200th of previous speeds. Could be a wet and stormy start to the high school football season across much of the state. National Weather Service warning of some heavy rains and strong and severe storms around the state today. An investigation is underway after a fire destroyed an historic restaurant in Blue Island. The building dates back to the 1800s. The blaze broke out early this morning at the Maple Tree Inn. Second gang member is guilty of murder in the deadly shooting of Chicago teen Hydea Pendleton in 2013. Mikhail Ward did not show a reaction after a Cook County jury convicted him yesterday. Reports of gunfire blamed for causing a temporary lockdown at Batavia High School. Police say the incident happened yesterday. Someone reported they heard what they thought were shots. There was no evidence found of shots ever being fired. The lockdown lifted. It may have been construction. And not to make you hungry this morning, but it is National Waffle Day. Holiday marks the anniversary of the first waffle iron patent issued in 1869. Frozen waffles, of course, came out in 1953, but you knew that. And the first Belgian waffles debuted in 1964. Javi Baez, Anthony Rizzo belt home runs for the Cubs in a 7-1 win over the Reds at Wrigley. Tigers over the White Sox 7-2. The news, a service of unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can change that future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org. 7:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager lays out the conservative mindset.
My position and the position of every conservative I know is we don't care.
You could be transgender, you could be cisgender, you could be brother gender, you could be anything you want. We only care about your values. We don't have a position on what you are. Conservatives have a position on what you stand for.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Progressive Insurance. Pick from a range of coverage options with the Name Your Price tool to find a price that works for you.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Larry Nora, founder and CEO of U-Store It, a network of award-winning self-storage facilities in the Chicago area, and a customer of Signature Bank. We've developed over 70 storage centers throughout the city and suburbs, and our business continues to grow. We need a bank who understands the neighborhoods and communities where we are making investments. We found that in Signature Bank. They know this city and its neighborhoods because they are based right here in Chicago. Finding a local banking institution like Signature Bank has been critical to the success of U-Store It, and we look forward to a long-term relationship.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
7:36 and a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. I-65 southbound. We're seeing delays from 73rd Avenue to US 30, where two left lanes remain closed after a fiery wreck which happened last night. Northbound traffic's now moving well after earlier construction. Eden Spur eastbound is heavy from the Tri-State to Waukegan Road. Eden's itself, 19 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, up on 25. Inbound Kennedy, delays are from Irving Park to Randolph. 30 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 20 from Montrose, 16 on the Express. Outbound 31 to the airport. Inbound Eisenhower, slow Costner to the Circle. 35 minutes, 390 to downtown. Outbound 33. Inbound Stevenson, 45 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 38. On Ryan, 27 minutes, 95 to downtown. I-57, Division 4 to Fine. Northbound Tri-State, knotted up from the Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis, from the Reagan Tollway to Lawrence. Northbound Veterans Memorial from Fountain Toll to the Reagan Tollway. Traffic, service of Compassion International. For just 5 quarters a day, you can sponsor a child through Compassion International. It's pocket change to you. It's life-changing for a child in need. Be part of the change at compassion.com/radio. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Rain through the morning. We should clear out a little bit. At least the rain does. The clouds remain for the afternoon. Cooler, high 71. Currently 66. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Financial Planning with Jack Tabota, your 401k specialist, whose goal is to protect, preserve, and grow your wealth. Saturday mornings at 7.
Man, I love college. Hey! I love drinking. Hey! I love women. Hey! Man, I love college.
That's not how I went to college. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that experience being sung about there. I mean, you went to Illinois State, so.
So I do understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan and Kristen McQuarrie in for Amy this morning, and since free college is all the rage as a platform playing for the socialists this cycle, and last with Comrade Bernie, and sure to be in the future, there's a couple ways to do it. There's the taxpayers forced to finance free college as if that's a real thing. And then there's the capitalist way to do it. And here again, sort of per our discussion last hour about the Republicans' failure to defend the capitalism to which they ascribe, and to challenge champagne socialists who practice capitalism while preaching socialism. We have a private sector solution to college tuition. One of those, another part of it would be just to get the government out of subsidizing confiscatory rates of confiscatory tuition increases and just kind of lump sum tuition payments. But New York University announced that it's going to offer free tuition for every current and future student attending its medical school. Want more medical professionals, doctors. Seems like a good idea. It will save students some $55,000 a year, and of course, by extension, a lot of debt for many of them. It is possible thanks to the generosity, the philanthropy, the voluntary giving, which is some $400 billion a year by Americans in spite of half your income being confiscated by government at every level. Ken Langone is the founder of Home Depot. The son of a plumber and a cafeteria worker, he went to Wall Street after Bucknell and NYU Business School, and then he found Home Depot, and then he employed 400,000 people. You want to talk about who betters whose lives. And then he became a billionaire. He and his wife are donating $100 million of the $600 million that NYU says it will need to fund the scholarships.
Ooh, those awful, awful rich people.
Terrible.
They're so terrible.
Ken Langone's autobiography, the title, which you should read. It is excellent. This is a really fascinating, interesting, fun individual. I Love Capitalism. That's the title of his autobiography.
Really?
He should.
Yeah, he's a product of it.
And so should all the beneficiaries that got a job at Home Depot and all the kids at NYU Medical School who are going to get a scholarship to attend there. And all of those who emulate his example. And they should not only love capitalism, they should challenge the socialists. They should challenge the free lunch crowd.
So let me ask you this, because this is going to come up, and it already has. I was watching the debate between Peter Roskam and his opponent in the 6th District, Sean Casten. And
Yes.
it was a televised debate, I think Fox 32. One of the audience questions was from a young man who stood up and said, I have $55,000 in student debt. What are you going to do about it? I mean, is there some government culpability in kids accumulating $55,000 in student debt? I'm still unclear as to why that's government's problem.
Because they're subsidizing higher than market clearing rate tuition rates. I mean, what do you...
The government is subsidizing?
Yeah, what do you
through
think?
state universities?
What do you think the student loan program is?
Well, I guess I'm confused as to why this continues to, if there's something predatory that certain universities are doing. Like
It's systematic. It's systemic. It's FAFSA.
But we still have a free market with college systems where if you decide to go to a school that costs $30,000 a year and you decide to take out student loans and you decide to take on that debt, then once you graduate, knowing all of that, why is that government's responsibility to bail you out?
You're right. But let's understand that let's educate people like that young man. Say, number one, caveat emptor, right? You knew what the terms were when you started attending, and
you're an adult.
What the risk is, and so you decided to take on this debt load. You decided to take on this obligation. So that's one piece of it, and the other piece is you're right. You shouldn't come out of ABC University with that much debt. And rather than looking to the government for the solution, you should be pointing the finger at the government for exacerbating the problem by making you take on an above-market obligation because of the system that they've set up. You subsidize something, you get more of it. So you subsidize tuition, you get higher tuition. And not to mention, do we want to talk about salaries and benefit levels in public universities, just like we do at K through 12 level, just like we do in government generally?
Right. No, I mean that's I guess the point that I'm in a long winding way getting around to is that if you force universities to tighten their belts, they will tighten their belts. And I know we've seen talk of universities in Illinois being starved and kids are going elsewhere.
Nonsense.
I think you have to take university by university. I don't think you can throw them all into the same bucket.
Nope, you can.
You mentioned Illinois State. Illinois State is one of the surviving schools. It has a specialty. They have not had to do anything drastic as a result of the budget impasse. They are still doing okay while others are not.
So here's the thing. Mitch Daniels over at Purdue has frozen tuition 7 years in a row. In Illinois, every Illinois State and university college, every public university and college, charges significantly more than their conference peers, 25 to 50%. U of I, second highest in-state tuition behind just Penn State in the Big Ten. And one of the reasons that's the case, and they're poor mouthing themselves as a bunch of nonsense, is because the state, this bankrupt state we live in, provides twice the per pupil support as the national average. So here would be my challenge if I were governor to state universities and colleges. Again, somebody taking on the tough fights that nobody wants to take on. Hey, university presidents, you boards of trustees, pound it. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what is going to happen. You're going to bring down your in-state tuition to the median of your conference peers, tomorrow. Or we're going to reduce our state per pupil support down to the national average tomorrow. This is the only way you force discipline, is you provide parameters for spending and rate setting. And that's the way it should be done. And there are other market innovations to be had. Look around. We've talked about this before. We talked about this actually with Mitch Daniels on this show a while back. The income share agreements. Income share agreements provide students money to cover college costs. In exchange, students agree to pay back a percentage of their future income for a set period of time. At Purdue, for example, a senior majoring in economics who took out $13,000 in what they call their back a boiler income share agreement. Take out $13,000 would pay 4.39% of her income over 100 months up to a maximum of $32,500. If the student struggles to secure a job after graduation or earns less than $20,000, the college would collect no money. If a student is extraordinarily successful financially, Purdue could be paid back up to 250% of the original amount awarded. That is another market innovation as a way to finance college with incentives aligned, rather than the incentives being contrary to the interests of the student.
I'm still unclear as to why this is a problem for a member of Congress who's running. If you're talking about state incentives and something that a leader like a governor should be doing, I get that too. But also, there is a free market. These students are taking on this debt knowingly.
I understand, but the federal student aid system distorts the price. Get them out of the business, just the same way that you want government out of the business of being middleman in healthcare. Look at healthcare and education costs since 1980. They're the only good that has outpaced inflation by 5x. Over time, through innovation, the cost of goods and services come down. Not in education and healthcare. Why? Because government is the primary purchaser. Mm-hmm. So, I'd say, yes, you're right on the student loan piece of it, but they're in a system that's sort of rigged against them. Rigged so that you cannot get for a lot of students, you're not going to be able to get a real return that makes sense for the debt that you incurred to get that certificate in medieval art history.
Well, you were supposed to become a lawyer and use that money, big money bags at some big firm, to start paying back your student loans. But you didn't do it.
I paid back my student loans.
I did too.
Yeah.
Well,
sure, you're a media elite. Of course you did. They just throw money at you.
Oh, right. Yes. No, I paid for some of my school, not all. My parents were very generous, but I don't understand this kind of concern about having to pay back something you knew you were taking on.
Well,
and actually, people in their 40s are still paying off their student loans. That's quite typical.
Right. I know. And the point is to say this is why you're talking about Khan Academy, and you're talking about go to community college and get your gen eds at a lower cost per class, because why pay the cost per credit hour at U of I to be in a classroom with 1,000 people for Econ 101 when you can get the same education at COD for fourth of the cost. But you have to get to government distorting the price. That's a real part of this conversation. Lynn in Glenview, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
A lot of these student loans, according to my understanding from friends, they incur non-academic monies in there. I mean, for housing and cars and food. I mean, and we're expected to pay that back. One friend's kids took 5.5 years to go to college, incurred over $110,000. That's ridiculous. They want us to pay that back?
Lynn, you raise a good point. Thanks for the call. That people also use student loan money to live off of.
Right.
No question.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just an interesting thing because you were talking about college and it being a market system. You have choice. Survey out some good news on school choice at the K through 12 level. Why has it been exempt all these years in places like Illinois? No idea. 54% of Americans say they favor universal choice policies, like say the tax credit scholarship program here that was passed last year. Majority now favor universal school choice because you're building in a lot of states. You're starting to build constituencies around school choice, and parents and then within their social circles are starting to understand the benefits of having the same choice at the K through 12 level that you have.
How
at the
many of
university
them are going to
level.
vote for J.B. Pritzker, who says he's going to undo the program?
I don't know. Probably a lot of them, because a lot of people are going to be voting for J.B. Pritzker. It would appear.
And just to be clear, he has said repeatedly now that he will unwind the Opportunity Scholarship program.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's a toady of the teachers' unions. Consequence of what you get when you blow up your party. I'm talking about the Republicans, of course. Gene on I-57.
Yeah, I'm on an I-57 heading down to the Champaign area. You mentioned earlier that people don't know what capitalism means. Well, it's a difficult term. You almost have to look it up to understand it. I suggest we stop using that term altogether, and we just start using the term free market.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
it's self-explanatory, and the Democrats are masters at words. We're terrible. Like the Affordable Care Act. That's a loaded title,
Yeah.
but it was so false. But they're masters of that stuff. We use capitalism. We expect everybody to know what it means, and we don't. And I do because I look it up and I read, but probably three times more people don't understand it, let alone liberals. So I suggest we stop using that word capitalism.
All
Get
right.
it out of our vocabulary entirely. Use free market.
Okay, thanks for the call, Gene. Free markets, fine. Just one thing about language. Yes, I understand. First, the language is corrupted, then man is corrupted. Thank you, Emerson. But we don't use Orwellian newspeak. I know they do, and you think that's clever. No, it's ghoulish. It's totalitarian. So we're not going to do that. I'm all for messaging, but we're going to message with words that are accurate, that are truthful, that are descriptive of something that's real, not the Affordable Care Act as a euphemism, an Orwellian euphemism for government takeover of health care. Sean in Elmwood Park.
First off, Prof, leave all your notes there. I'm doing Joe Walsh's show, and I like to cheat off your homework.
Yeah, sure.
Secondly, there's a diabolical nature going on. If you remember, Barack Obama nationalized the student loan business. So there's no such thing even close to a free market. Now, there's something very interesting that goes on. When a grown man such as yourself or Kristen or her husband take out a mortgage, there is a 72-hour cool-off period. No matter how long the process of buying a home went, you need 72 hours right before the close to change your mind, in which case all of costs must be disclosed. The end amount that people pay. See, that's the thing that's missing from the student loan business. So here you have an adult that has nothing but safety nets where he can reconsider his obligation, what he's actually doing. And this is all in place by government. Yet, when it comes to one of the most important debts you're taking, you're not allowed to know what the total cost is, number one. You're rushed into it, and it's signed by morons called 18-year-olds. Morons. And they're encouraged, and they're lured because they can't take that little credit card they get, and they can buy shoes and socks and Vans and the latest new things that's out with the Beats and the Bebops, and they're morons. So the first thing you do.
Oh my goodness.
Grandpa, stop yelling at us.
The bebops?
The van. Who buys a van anymore? What kid buys a van?
You mean van shoes?
What decade of this?
The shoes van.
Who
Please,
buys
it's
those
disgusting.
anymore
You should see
either?
my house.
Good grief.
The Guess jeans and the
Thanks for the call, Sean. Yeah, the Sergio Valentes and the
Dracar cologne.
Oh.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I have discovered the perfect way to get my monthly medications. They come right to my door, right to my home, gogomeds.com. This is an incredible new way for you to have all your prescription medications filled at a lower price without ever having to go to the pharmacy. Have you heard of GoGo Meds? Gogomeds.com is a breakthrough online pharmacy, and it's for all of us who want lower costs on prescription medications and who don't want to sit behind 10 cars at the drive-thru or wait in line all day at the pharmacy. Imagine that. Your doctor simply sends your prescriptions to GoGo Meds, and then your medicine is delivered to your home. I get my hay fever medication like clockwork from gogomeds.com. You can select from an extensive list of generic drugs online. That'll save you even more money. The reason they save you money is because they partner directly with the manufacturers. Go to gogomeds.com, promo code Mike2018. You'll get $10 off your first prescription, and you're going to love this process. I sure do. Gogomeds.com. Use the promo code Mike2018.
Hey guys, Ken here from the Business Accelerator podcast, Today's Growth. If you had to choose a vehicle to take you up the rocky side of a mountain, would you choose a Ferrari or a Jeep? The Ferrari's faster, cooler, maybe even sexier, but if you have to get to the top, the Jeep's a better bet. I think we can agree getting to the top is not about the driver, it's the vehicle. Have you noticed people often pick their financial vehicle like they pick their cars? Washington Post shared that only 1 out of 4 people choose a job that uses their college degree. Why? Simple. Something more immediate, maybe cooler, maybe even sexier came along first. Shouldn't the main deciding factors for revenue generation be production or output? Should the cool factor have any weight in choosing someone's income? If getting to the top of the financial mountain is mission critical for you, why not add a few Jeeps to your garage? Could your household or business use an additional revenue model that makes it to the top every time? If so, you have to see the Jeeps lined up at incomestore.com. That's incomestore.com.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity for upstream-ideas.com. Here's 1 week's worth of leftist intellectual offerings. Former CIA Director John Brennan, whose value as an intel officer closely rivals Chuck Barris's value as a CIA assassin, argued the revocation of his ability to leak classified information was some sort of unconstitutional abridgment of his free speech rights. Brennan was barking on MSNBC and opining in the New York Times that he is being silenced. Elizabeth Warren proposed to save capitalism by nationalizing private property. 350 newspapers colluded to publish the same anti-Trump ransom letter to their readers to prove what well-adjusted, independent-minded journalists they are. New York Governor Andy Cuomo announced that America will be great for the first time if and only if he's either elected president or bumps his brother Chris in CNN's primetime lineup. And of all the cake shops in all the world, a trans person walked into Masterpiece Cake Shop in Lakewood, Colorado because, SCOTUS ruling notwithstanding, the left and their government commissars will make Jack Phillips and every other Christian in America they can target choose between faith and business. The left is impervious to irony, unbounded by hypocrisy, undaunted by legal restraint, unyielding in their quest for dominion over every aspect of your life, and that's just in the last week.
The secret to how the rich keep getting richer is by passing down their wealth, generation to generation. If you do the same thing, you'll be leaving a legacy and be doing one of the most important things possible for the people you love. The ugly truth is, you don't have an estate plan. Everything you own, including your house, cars, investments, everything could be tied up in courts for a year or longer. It could cost your estate tens of thousands of dollars in probate and legal fees, even double government taxation. You can avoid this painful, costly mistake by contacting Tom Fortino of the Alpha Wealth Group. Tom hosts the Alpha Wealth Hour, heard Saturday mornings at 9 on AM 560, and has been a featured expert on Fox Business, Fortune, and Money Magazine. Right now, Alpha Wealth Group is offering you a free estate planning kit if you call 630-873-6326. That's 630-873-6326. 630-873-6326. Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, Inc.
Al Kovac Jr., Navy veteran, Paralyzed Veterans of America.
You fought the good fight and served your country with valor. Now it's our turn to fight for you.
Sherman Gillums Jr., Marine Corps veteran, Paralyzed Veterans of America.
We help you secure full benefits, quality health care, and job opportunities.
To learn more, visit pva.org, a public service of Paralyzed Veterans of America.
What's happening? What does it mean? Why is it important? We've got the answer. AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
President Trump says the Attorney General should be investigating his political opponents. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. The president tweeting about Jeff Sessions again this morning. At the White House, here's Fox's John Decker.
President Trump writing on Twitter, Jeff, this is great, what everyone wants, so look into all of the corruption on the other side. Referring to Democrats, he continued, come on, Jeff, you can do it. The country is waiting. The president and Sessions have had an uneasy relationship since Sessions' decision to recuse himself from heading the investigation into Russian meddling in the 2016 presidential election. Two senior Republican senators have suggested that the president replace Sessions after the midterm elections. Chris?
John, thanks. There's already flooding today on Hawaii's Big Island with Hurricane Lane approaching. Some people say no big deal. This little girl's worried, though.
I feel like it's gonna come more, and our house is gonna get kind of knocked down and stuff like that. So I just pray and stuff to not make it happen. 5
California tourists were rescued from a home in Hilo. The attorney for a man accused of killing University of Iowa student Molly Tibbetts says it's not clear his client's in the country illegally.
Despite evidence from ICE, Christian Rivera's attorney is insisting his client's legal status is unclear. Alan Richards arguing his case on The Story with Martha McCallum.
That's rhetoric.
It's not a point of view question. Either he's here legally or he's not here legally. It's really not a point of view question. It's not a rhetoric question, sir.
You're trying to say that his state of mind was in such a way. We're dealing with an individual that has a middle school education, so his perception is entitled to equal protection and due process.
Those claims coming hours after the release of Molly Tibbetts' autopsy results. A medical examiner says her death was, quote, homicide resulting from multiple sharp force injuries.
That's Fox's Jackie Ibanez. Stock markets overseas trading mostly higher. Dow futures are up 59 points ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Gray skies, 66 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. An investigation is underway after a fire blazed through an historic restaurant in Blue Island. The blaze broke out early this morning in the Maple Tree Inn. The cause of the fire has not been released. The building dates back to the 1800s. The father of 2 young boys who drowned in the Kankakee River in northwest Indiana is now facing charges. Eric Patillo has been charged with 2 counts of neglect of a dependent resulting in death. Patillo admitted to using heroin that morning, tested positive for opiates and THC after the 2 young boys drowned. A second gang member is guilty of murder in the deadly shooting of Chicago teen Hydea Pendleton in 2013. Mikhail Ward showed no reaction after a Cook County jury convicted him yesterday. Illinois Attorney General Lisa Madigan planning to meet with the Chicago Archdiocese discussing sexual abuse by priests. Madigan announcing yesterday talks will revolve around 7 priests with Illinois connections that were included in a Pennsylvania grand jury report on clergy sex abuse. A federal judge in Chicago will hear evidence in the Aaron Schock corruption trial. The 7th Circuit yesterday appointing Judge Matthew Kennelly to handle the case that the former Central Illinois congressman had, former congressman who faces charges for allegedly lying in congressional and campaign expense forms. Chicago sports: Cubs 7-1 winners over the Reds at Wrigley Field. Tigers 7-2 winners over the White Sox in Detroit. Bears host the Chiefs tomorrow in the NFL preseason. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. From the Fox Business Network, here is Pat O'Neill.
From the Fox Business Network, U.S. stock futures pointing to a positive start on Wall Street as we wind down the week. There's some question, though, as to whether the failure of the U.S. and China to get anywhere in their 2 days of trade talks will discourage investors. The Federal Reserve's yearly meeting in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, drawing attention, with a focus on a speech today by Fed Chief Jerome Powell for more clues about the Fed's interest rate policies. Overseas markets mostly higher. Netflix is the latest company to try bypassing Apple's App Store. It's looking into a new sign-up approach where users in some countries are being redirected to the mobile web version of the app and asked to enter payment details with Netflix directly, so Netflix can avoid paying Apple's 30% commission fee. The test is running in 33 countries, not including the U.S. for now. Earlier this month, Spotify updated its payment policy, so new users can no longer pay for Spotify premium accounts using Apple's in-app payment system. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Pat O'Neill.
8:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
My name is Lauren Sullivan, and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 9 years ago, and I was severely disabled. And about 6 years ago, my mother had found Balance of Nature, so we decided to give it a try because at that point, nothing was helping. I was skeptical at first, but over time I realized I had more energy levels. I was sleeping better, which was huge, and my hair looked better, my skin looked better, my nails looked better, and then I was able to weed off some of those medications. And I know, had I not found Balance of Nature, I would not be living the quality of life that I am now.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first preferred set of fruits and veggies and have them shipped to you free. Call 800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751, or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
It's the Ford Summer Sales Event, and now while selection is best, it's the best time to buy. With amazing offers across a full lineup of Ford vehicles, now is the time to make summer go right with Ford, America's best-selling brand. Stop by a local Ford store or shop online at buyfordnow.com, because there is no better time than right now to get behind the wheel of a new Ford during the Ford Summer Sales Event. The Ford Summer Sales Event is here. Right now, get 0% APR financing for 72 months plus $1,000 Ford credit bonus cash on a great lineup of Ford SUVs. Best-selling claim based on 2017 calendar year sales. Not all buyers qualify for Ford credit financing. 72 months at $1,389 per month for $1,000 finance regardless of down payment. Not available on Expedition. For all offers, take new retail delivery from authorized Ford dealer stock by 8/31/18. See dealer or go to buyfordnow.com for qualifications and details.
Are customers passing you by because it's a major hassle to park in your lot? Convenient and safe parking may be one of the most overlooked aspects of your business. You've neglected your parking lot for way too many years. It's falling apart and could be scaring business away. Pavement Solutions can get your parking lot in shape. With proper care, you can extend the life of your current lot with Pavement Solutions' certified specialty blend product called Gem Seal, Black Diamond, and Duramax. Yeah, it's a mouthful, but the best seal coat product in the industry. It'll protect your lot from sub-zero temperatures to a scorching 110-degree sun and features an abrasive, non-slip coat for safety and durability. With Enduramax, your lot will have that brand new feel and look at a fraction of the price of a new lot. You and your customers will be safe, and your business will look great. For parking lot repairs to snow removal, go to fixmylots.org. That's fixmylots.org. And get a free estimate. Plus, learn about getting 5% off your next job from Pavement Solutions. This hourly segment is brought to you by St. John's Northwestern Military Academy. More info online at sjnma.org.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads and the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. And here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. I-65 is wide open now. All lanes have reopened southbound at US 30 after that major wreck last night caused closure during the overnight hours. Eastbound Eden Spur has construction delays from the Tri-State to Waukegan Road. 19 minutes on the Edens from Lake Oak to Montrose outbound 25. The westbound Spur is heavy from the Edens to Waukegan Road. Kennedy. Inbound delay started at Addison. 32 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 22 from Montrose, 21 on the Express. Outbound 14 minutes to Montrose, 40 to the airport. On Eisenhower, 40 minutes, 390 to downtown, 25 from Manheim. Outbound it's 40 to 390. Got a crash past Des Plaines Avenue in the left lane. Stevenson, 47 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 38. Bryan, 28 minutes, 95 to downtown. Lakeshore Drive delays are southbound Montrose to North Avenue, northbound from Stevenson to Jackson. The project beginning now Sunday night will have Lakeshore Drive down to 2 lanes in each direction between North Avenue and Monroe. Right now on the Tri-State Tollway, it's heavy northbound. The Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis, except from the Reagan Tollway to Lawrence. Southbound 53 delays. Northwest Highway to Higgins. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, cloudy and breezy with periods of late morning rain, high 71. Tonight, mostly cloudy and humid. A shower or a thunderstorm around, low 65. Humid and warmer tomorrow with clouds and sun, high 86. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560. The Answer.
67 at O'Hare, 68 along the lakefront. Next news 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is picked for you by Gobert's Pumpkin Patch, opening Friday, August 31st for apple picking.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Kristen McQuarrie, she of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And I mean, really, you're on the Chicago Tribune's editorial board and you're going to post something like, Trump and Pecker are longtime friends.
That was for your private viewing.
It's public. It's on Facebook.
Well,
Trump and Pecker are longtime friends.
I figure you only have like 2 people as friends on Facebook.
If that, I doubt he'll give him the shaft. I mean, honestly.
It only took me an hour to come up with that
Yeah, all right. We'll take your David Pecker
sophomoric humor
puns and or what Trump will nickname him on Twitter, because you know you're on the clock for a Trump nickname for David Pecker, his longtime friend who's got an immunity deal and, according to Associated Press, has a safe with Trump documents that relate to hush money payments to women that I guess is within the prosecutor's purview. I don't know. My offering, my suggested name, what I think Trump will term him on Twitter, Richard Cranium. And you didn't even get that when I said it before.
I did not.
All right,
no.
see if you can beat Richard Cranium. Steve on 88 has chimed in with Lake Flaccid.
God.
Okay. All right. Now, if you could elevate your level of discourse, please. We've got a guest. He's Steve Cortez, CNN political commentator, served on Trump's Hispanic Advisory Council. He's got a piece in RealClearPolitics.com this week, Mainstream Media versus Main Street USA. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan and Kristen. Thanks for having me. Happy Friday.
Good. Do you have a projected nickname for David Pecker before we begin?
I am not going to go down that road. I will tell you regarding Pecker, if it really is a safe, I want that safe to be opened a la Geraldo and the Vault. I mean, let's open this safe with a lot of fanfare and let's make it a big spectacle.
I like that.
Oh, that is a great idea.
Yeah. God, I miss the Al Capone reveal. That's very good. Yeah, it's a very good idea. All right, on this other matter, you penned this piece, Mainstream Media versus Main Street USA. Essentially, the argument is the D.C. press corps is obsessed with this John le Carré novel they're writing, but Main Street USA is focused on the economic benefits that have redounded to them since Trump has been president.
That's right. And, to continue with your theme of a novel, I say it's a tale of two cities, and I really believe that. And there's one city, which is the Acela corridor, essentially. And it's really two cities, Washington and New York. But the Washington press corps, the political and media elites of America, they are utterly obsessed with all things Mueller, all things Russia, all things Omarosa. You just name it, fill in the blank of which scandal it is, and utterly really just contemptible toward the president. And then you look at the alternate reality. It's almost as if it's a different universe of Main Street USA, where things, quite frankly, are going great. And in my opinion, largely because of the incredible policies of the Trump administration, particularly tax and regulatory relief. Those twin forces of economic dynamism and acceleration in this country are producing results, tangible, real results for Americans, most of whom are not politically obsessed, and they don't hang on every single headline on cable news, but instead worry about the bread and butter issues that matter to their lives, their job security, their incomes, their wages, growth, small business optimism, which is absolutely exploding. On all of those measures, this country is soaring, but you wowould never know it if you only paid attention to mainstream media.
I thought this part in your piece was really telling because it really taps into that sort of frenzy that is going on in Washington and being unreported, and that is that America saw a 400% increase in the number of Black-owned businesses, and this is from Black Enterprise magazine. And so you make the point that the economy is lifting all boats, not just the already successful. Do you think stories like that are getting reported outside the D.C. Beltway by local outlets at all?
I hope so. I don't know because, unfortunately, I live within that very world that I'm criticizing, right, of national cable news. I know it's not getting reported there. That's one of the reasons I wrote this article, is to try to be a voice, screaming that, hey, there are amazing things going on in this country that again, elite media doesn't want to pay attention to. By the way, that stat you mentioned, I actually had to check into it because I didn't believe it. It was so astounding. A 400% increase in new business. I mean, you just don't see those kind of numbers in the economy as big as the United States to see those kinds of growth numbers. And it's incredible, number one, for the African-American community to think that entrepreneurialism is starting to really take hold. And that's just within the last year, by the way. So that's not something where you can credit President Obama and say, oh, this was already an existing trend and, Trump just inherited a good situation. No, there is an explosion in small business optimism. That's not my opinion. I mean, these are surveys. We're almost at an all-time high in overall small business optimism, regardless of the owner's color. And we're just a smidge away from the all-time high, but a 4-decade-plus record. And then I'm particularly excited, though, too, for the people who haven't done well, the economic strivers, the underdogs. So, for instance, lowest unemployment ever for people without a high school degree. That the stat that you mentioned about an explosion in small business for blacks, Hispanics, my community, are statistically the most entrepreneurial demographic in America. Unfortunately, I don't have a stat on their business starts, but I know it has to be trending in the right direction. So all of these things tell us that not only is growth accelerating, which is important, but it's also broadening, meaning it's for everyone now, not as during the last decade where it really was only, honestly, for owners of assets who did super well. If you had a lot of stocks or real estate, wage earners struggled. Now we're seeing the reverse. It's great news for America. It's not something that you're going to find covered because it's not glamorous and scandalous. And that's a shame, though, because we should be talking about these tangible, real-world benefits for regular working people.
President Trump cut a little 15-second ad this week presenting the contrast that Democrats want to abolish ICE and I want to abolish ISIS, and we're going to win. So on the matter of immigration, and he also had a little event with ICE officers where some were honored and so forth. But on this matter, particularly against the backdrop of this terrible event in Iowa where Molly Tibbetts was murdered by apparently a person who was in this country illegally, is the president and our Republicans making a mistake by pushing off a border security package and border security funding until after the midterms?
Yes, and Dan, 100% a mistake. And I'm unfortunately pretty pessimistic on the November elections. I really am. As optimistic as I am on the country and on the things Trump is doing, I'm pretty pessimistic on the Congress. History argues against us. Present polling certainly doesn't look good. But most of all, Republicans on the Hill, other than tax cuts, which was a massive win, but other than that, they really haven't cooperated in any way with the Trump agenda. And nowhere is it more stark to me than on the border issue. I think if we had full border funding, I think the whole equation would be different. The Trump coalition would be energized to come out in November, even though he's not on the ballot. And I think that immigration issues, the Democrats think that immigration issues favor them. I couldn't disagree more. I think that they favor us. And the Republicans in the Congress, quite frankly, show that they're as deep in the swamp in many ways as the Democrats are by their failure to address this. And
part of the story, not just to interrupt briefly, part of the story, and it's being reported, is that the individual charged with first-degree murder in Tibbetts' case worked for some dairy farmer in Iowa. So, and a Republican dairy farmer in Iowa, supposedly. So, if that's true, this goes to the larger narrative, drain the swamp. Sort of business Republicans who want cheap labor versus Democrats who just want open borders for their to create a new dependent constituency. So, you know, and if we're going to use this as a discussion point in terms of public policy making, then you have to address all sides of it.
Right. And listen, I have advised the president personally, and you know, he agrees. Do everything you can to get the Republican leadership to force a vote on full border funding of the wall. And I doubt it would pass, particularly in the Senate. I think it would pass the House, not the Senate. But regardless, let's have the vote before the midterm, because let's put the Democrats on record so that we can go into October and November talking about this, talking about the fact that they want to abolish ICE. And that's no longer a fringe movement. I mean, we now see that from major politicians on the Democratic side, sitting senators, governors, mayor of New York, big candidates, Ocasio-Cortez and others. And I like to point out that ICE, you know, not only do they do dangerous work to protect us, and they should be honored rather than vilified, but on top of that, ICE and the Border Patrol are the two most Hispanic agencies of the federal government. So that liberal narrative that this is a bunch of, you know, whites, a retrograde sort of whites who are looking to abuse brown people, the reality couldn't be further from that. And we need to talk about it, message on it more. I wish they would vote on it. That would be, I think, a huge campaign issue for us. And unfortunately, too, these terrible stories are happening everywhere. Not just, you know, Iowa, as awful as that was with Molly Tibbetts. We had a terrible one here in the Chicago area, out in Joliet. Illegal immigrant who there was a ICE detainer for his removal in 2012, which was ignored. He raped 3 women, and he was just sentenced. And the judge, I give the judge a lot of credit, the judge in the sentencing said, you should have never been in this country. And he said something about, I don't want to quote exactly because I don't have it in front of me, but something like political correctness, you know, kept you here and allowed you to commit these terrible crimes against Americans. That's real. I mean, you know, there's no way to run away from that. Let's make the Democrats own that, because they believe in eliminating ICE, they believe in open borders, and they're against the wall.
There is a lot of there's a big enthusiasm gap in Illinois in some pretty normally safe Republican districts for some of the reasons that you talked about: lack of immigration reform, nothing on Obamacare, no entitlement reform, no debt reduction, no smaller government. So it's kind of hard to get a Trump voter to continue to elect some of these Republicans who are seeking reelection. But the threat of a Democratic House might be enough. You know, putting Nancy Pelosi back in charge might be enough to kind of drag them over the finish line. So what are some things, if the House flips, that voters should prepare for that could be undone or would advance under a Pelosi House? Right. Well, listen, and I've been, every chance I get, saying this on air, whether it's radio interviews like yours or my CNN hits, it's impeachment. I mean, to me, that is, you know, that's the end-all, be-all of the Democratic Party. They're whispering about it because they're smart enough, they have enough guile to know that they don't want to sell that as their agenda. But it is their agenda. I mean, we know it. We know it's the agenda of their biggest donors. A few of their public figures, their politicians, have been willing to admit on the record that they're going there. But they are going there. They were going there before the Cohen case. Now that they have the Cohen case as a specious argument, I mean, I think it's weak, but it's enough for them to say the president committed a crime. Why? Because Michael Cohen said he did. I think that's ludicrous, but that's enough for them. And unfortunately, I think our founders were magnificent in our Constitution. I don't think they thought through impeachment. The fact that it just takes one majority vote in the House on basically any grounds they believe are high grounds and misdemeanors tells me that if the Democrats take the House, we are headed to impeachment. And that will be, unfortunately, what will rule most of 2019, rather than the growth agenda that we've seen so far, which is fabulous, but we need to continue and add to it. For instance, things like you mentioned, defunding or repealing and replacing Obamacare as an example. We're not going to get to anything, though, if we are wrapped up in an impeachment drama, which would dominate months of the new Congress in 2019 if the Democrats win. So I'm trying to warn and scare, quite frankly, Republicans and the Trump coalition into getting out, because in some ways this is his second reelect. Or his first reelect, but his second election.
Right. He is Steve Cortez, CNN political commentator, served on the Trump Hispanic Advisory Council. The column at realclearpolitics.com. You can check out Mainstream Media versus Main Street USA. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And you joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Napa know-how.
Right now, Prestone Coolant is just $12.99 at Napa. Its temperature-controlling formula helps keep your engine cool, or as the kids say, chill.
But don't worry, Prestone Coolant won't start calling you dude or crash on your couch. It'll just keep your engine cool for an affordable price, just $12.99. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa Know-How.
Napa Know-How.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 8/31/18.
What do you hear? Most people just hear an engine. We hear a 6.2-liter Hemi V8 with a supercharger that accelerates so fast, it'll suck the air out of your lungs and knock you back in your seat like you're an astronaut in a rocket ship hurtling through the stratosphere. But then again, we're not most people. We're the Brotherhood of Muscle. Dodge. Domestic, not domesticated. Dodge is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
When you purchase an alarm system, you do it for one reason above all others. You need to know something about the people or property under your care. Knowing that what matters most will be looked after by professionals when you can't be there is a comforting feeling. At Alarm Detection Systems, we've learned a great deal from our decades of service. We know how to treat customers on the phone. We know that installing quality security products using certified technicians is the only way to go. We know that same-day service and local monitoring will provide the safety and peace of mind you're looking for. You no longer have to wonder if your home or business is protected by your alarm system. Know that it is. At home or on the go, the information you seek is right in your hands. It's good to be in the know. Visit adsalarm.com or call 630-844-6300. That's 630-844-6300 or online at adsalarm.com. Alarm license number 127000143.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
My husband's blood pressure has dropped 30 points. I've lost 8 pounds. He's lost about 20 pounds. His arthritis is gone. You guys have given me back my husband. I'd come home from work, and if he beat me home from work, he would be laying in the recliner, and I would feed him supper in his recliner and would be like really boring, pathetic old people watching TV while we ate dinner and then go to bed exhausted and wake up tired. I came home from work last night, and he was mowing the lawn. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's so amazing.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first preferred set of fruits and veggies and have them shipped to you free. Call 800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Being successful in business means overcoming enormous obstacles to serve your customers and community. AM 560, The Answer, wants to shine a spotlight on businesses that are thriving. We want to celebrate their success by finding out what makes these businesses unique, successful, and what we can learn from them. We want to know how you built it. Presented by Chicagoland Waterproofing. To tell us how you built it, go to 560theanswer.com/built. That's 560theanswer.com/BUILT. Sponsored by Signature Bank and Ozinga.
Your local 1-hour heating and air conditioning knows how miserable it feels when your AC goes out. You want it fixed fast, fixed right, and get a fast quote. Unlike some companies, we don't give you a quote until we actually see what the problem is. Then we'll give you our straightforward price and always stand by our work. Right now, get savings on any AC repair. Call 855-1-HOUR.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1 hour.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
Got an email last night from a lady in Florida who doubted my sincerity about Relief Factor until she tried it. She tried Relief Factor. In her case, it took her almost 3 weeks, and she woke up pain-free. Relief Factor was the answer she's been looking for. This makes my 60 seconds to tell you about Relief Factor some of the happiest times of my day, because I know people are going to get the relief that they've been craving. You can get all the pain relief benefits of Relief Factor without the negative side effects of ibuprofen or prescription drugs. Physicians created Relief Factor as a crucial way to support the body's fights against aches and pains. So no matter your age, maybe you're just too sore after a great workout at the gym, or if you're like me and you're of a certain age and you want to start dealing with the aches and pains of life, give Relief Factor a try. The 3-week quick start is $19.95. Try it for 3 weeks. It's $19.95. Decide if it's for you or not. ReliefFactor.com. ReliefFactor.com or call 800-500-8384. 800-500-8384. Relief Factor.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy take a couple calls in reaction to our conversation with Steve Cortez. Another Steve, this one in Naperville. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning.
Morning.
Take my call. I love you guys.
Thank you.
All the best to your better half.
Okay, Amy J will be back on Monday. Yes, don't you worry. All right.
All right. So my comment is regarding political correctness. I think that Americans don't like political correctness, but we don't like it in a way that we kind of roll our eyes and we may laugh at it. But I think that every time we say the word politically correct, are the two words, that we should say it before that, forcing their morality on others, political correctness, because that's something that Americans grit their teeth about, not roll their eyes. So,
imposing their morality, such as it is. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And then my second
go ahead.
point about the student loans. Did you guys? I heard a bunch of that, but I didn't know if anybody mentioned that they got it to the point where you can't even get out of through bankruptcy. Like if you
you can't discharge
made a mistake, you
Right.
can't even discharge it.
Right.
So that is the hugest, like a mob scam.
Well, okay. Thanks for the call, Steve. Yeah, the government will never let you go. And in honor of your statement on political correctness, I want to offer one of my favorite Family Guy drops.
How much signal I need to cut across 8 lane? None? I turn now. Good luck, everybody else.
So why can Seth MacFarlane do that and you can't make a joke about people? Everybody should be made a joke of. I mean, and everybody's heritage, laugh about it. I mean, it's actually a way of like bringing people together. Bust your chops because you're Irish. Bust your chops because you're Italian. Whatever. I mean, Seth MacFarlane can get away with a Family Guy, but somebody makes a joke that somebody takes offense to because you're looking to take offense to it, and they're fired or they're reprimanded in some way. Come on.
Scusi, Barbara Boopy.
See, we got no problem. We cover
I
it all
think
here.
being offended is a choice most of the time. So you can choose.
Exactly. Well said, Kristen McQuarrie. Coming up at 8:38. Got another case where an academic has been targeted for elimination for these very reasons that we're discussing, prompted by Steve in Naperville. She's at the University of Chicago. We're going to talk to English professor from Providence, Anthony Esselin, who's also a contributor to Touchstone Magazine, about it, because he, too, has felt this sting. But now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Gray skies, 67 degrees. We're still watching Hurricane Lane. It's dumped more than 30 inches of rain in the past 24 hours on Hawaii's Big Island. Heavy rainfall, catastrophic flooding, and fast rainfall rates continue throughout this day. Google this morning says it's removed dozens of YouTube channels linked to an Iranian influence operation. The tech company says 58 accounts on YouTube and other sites had ties to the Islamic Republic. Federal authorities say they use new facial recognition technology to arrest a man attempting to enter the U.S. illegally. Daniel Matten is with the Customs and Border Protection in Washington, D.C.
Trying to enter the country illegally, we apprehended him, processed, and returned back to Brazil.
Customs and Border Protection agents arrested the 26-year-old man when he presented a passport that didn't belong to him, arriving at the airport from a Sao Paulo, Brazil flight. Still raging across California, wildfires, and they're creating a new health hazard in San Francisco and elsewhere. Air quality has reached such unhealthy levels, many are being urged to avoid any outdoor activities. San Diego area Congressman Duncan Hunter and his wife are both denying corruption charges. They were indicted Tuesday on charges of using more than $250,000 in campaign funds for personal expenses. They both pleaded not guilty in court today. An investigation is underway after a fire destroyed an historic restaurant in Blue Island. No injuries reported as the blaze broke out early this morning at the Maple Tree Inn. A federal judge from Chicago will hear evidence in the Aaron Schock corruption trial. The Seventh Circuit yesterday appointed U.S. Judge Matthew Kennelly to handle the former Central Illinois congressman's case. Schock facing charges for allegedly lying on congressional and campaign expense forms. And the new owner will get a historic Peoria hotel, the Pure Marquette. But the City Museum wants their mural back. It's quite a conflict in Peoria this morning. Back in July, the Peoria Riverfront Museum filed a claim to get the portrait of Father Jacques Marquette meeting with a group of Indians along the Illinois River in 1673. Museum managers say they own the decades-old painting and have just been loaning it to the old owners of the hotel for the past 30 years. Cubs 7-1 winners over the Reds. Tigers hit 3 home runs in a 7-2 win over the White Sox. Bears and Chiefs tomorrow at noon. The News is a service of the Positive Coaching Alliance. Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA is a national nonprofit offering more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports. Coaches, students, administrators, visit PCADevZone.org. 8:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher calls out the never-Trumpers.
They are so crazed, consumed with their personal hatred of this man that they don't care what happens to the country. They don't care what happens in terms of policy. They don't care what happens in terms of anything that has been achieved in the nearly 2 years that Donald Trump's been president. They are unglued.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Do you know your bank's fraud tolerance? I'm Ann Dollagall, Treasury Management Executive. At Signature Bank, we have zero tolerance. While some of the big banks may write off smaller incidences of fraud, we use a multi-layered approach to fight fraud before it happens to our customers. There's been a record number of businesses hit with payments fraud this year. Keeping your business assets safe is our top priority. We are trained, and we will train you to recognize potential wire fraud threats and business email compromise scams. Call us today to find out how Signature Bank can work with your business to fight fraud.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The following is a paid political announcement.
We need strong borders to keep America safe. That's why President Trump is fighting to build the wall. But Senator Joe Donnelly's votes would have made us less safe. In Congress, Donnelly claimed he was, quote, 100% opposed to amnesty, but then he changed his position. In the Senate, Donnelly joined liberals like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and voted to give amnesty to millions of illegal immigrants, even illegal immigrants who had committed serious crimes, including domestic violence and child abuse. Donnelly told us he was against amnesty, but then he voted for amnesty. Call Senator Donnelly at 202-224-4814. Tell him to fight for full border security funding in S3109, Department of Homeland Security Appropriations Act 2019. Amnesty won't keep America safe. Fully securing our border will. Paid for by One Nation, www.onenationamerica.org.
8:37, and an update on the roads. In the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. The Edens Spur has delays eastbound from the Tri-State to Waukegan Road and westbound from the Edens to the Toll Plaza. The Edens itself, 19 minutes, like Cook to Montrose, outbound 22. Inbound to Kennedy. Delays start at California, 32 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, 22 from Montrose, 24 in the Express. Outbound 10 minutes to Montrose, about 40 to the airport. Inbound Eisenhower, 43 minutes, 390 to downtown, 25 from Manheim. Outbound 37 to 390. Now Stevenson, 45 minutes from 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 35. Ryan, 24 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, Bishopport, all good. Lakeshore Drive southbound, heavy Montrose to North Avenue and northbound from the Stevenson to Jackson. Northbound Tri-State delays on the Stevenson to 31st. Reagan Tollway to Lawrence. Northbound Veterans Memorial, Fountain Toll to the Reagan Tollway, and southbound North Avenue to 22nd. Southbound 53 stop and go, the Adams Toll at Higgins, Northwest Indiana's clear. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, and your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center, periods of rain through the mid-morning into the early afternoon, then cloudy, breezy, and cooler. 71, cloudy, humid, maybe a shower overnight, lows 65. 67 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
When you've got questions, he always has an answer. It's Sean Hannity this afternoon at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy J. This morning, Kristen McQuarrie of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And Kristen, I had forgotten, Daddy's little girl, Lisa Madigan, she is still the Attorney General of the state of Illinois.
She's got a little time left, yes.
It's been a storied 15-year run.
Is that all? I thought it was longer.
Elected in 2002, took office in 2003.
Okay, correct, yes.
Yeah. She is going to play attorney and play Attorney General for just a little while longer. You know, she kind of does it once every 3 or 4 years. She'll pretend she's an attorney, and she'll pretend like she's the Attorney General. Usually it's to go after like people who rip the tags off their mattresses. But in this case, she's going to sit down with the Chicago Archdiocese. She announced yesterday, this coming on the heels of that Pennsylvania grand jury report identifying multiple priests, including with connections to Illinois, that were alleged to have sexually abused some 1,000 child victims over the course of the 7 decades that the Pennsylvania grand jury looked into the conduct of the Catholic Church in Pennsylvania. The Catholic Church has a moral obligation to provide its parishioners and the public a complete and accurate accounting of all sexually inappropriate behavior involving priests in Illinois, she said. Well, there's no question she's right about that. That's an obvious statement. And now that it's safe to repeat obvious statements, she's making them. The question I would have, because I concede that point in the Catholic Church and the full accounting as a Catholic, and I know you are as well, Miss McQuarrie, but should she be taking an interest in the CPS scandal that your paper has reported?
Yes, and I don't know that she has not.
Well,
I just don't know.
Has she made any announcement about it?
I not that I can recall, but I don't know that she hasn't. I can't say that she hasn't. And go ahead.
No. But
what else bothers you about this?
Well, I still can't get my head around the lack of discussion, interest, questions, statements about what the Tribune has uncovered at CPS, and that's just for a small period of time. You want to do what the Pennsylvania grand jury did and go back 70 years at CPS? And look under every rock, turn over everything there, good Lord knows what you'll find. We know what the Tribune found looking at approximately 7 years of records since Tiny Dancer has been mayor. And what has the superintendent, Janice Jackson, Miss Jackson if you're nasty, what has she said? What has the Attorney General said? What, other than the first, like, hey, if anybody's got any ideas pronouncement that Tiny Dancer offered, what else has he said? Where are the trial lawyers representing victims' families to go after civilly people that have already been convicted of crimes in the system? There's just no discussion, calls for accountability of any sort.
That's right. I mean, so it has been really surprising to me that this has not turned into a story similar to the Catholic Church story, the CPS scandal. I mean, you had the mayor offer some wimpy apology. You had a statement from our 2 senators, Durbin and Duckworth, where they didn't name Rahm at all, didn't blame CPS at all. They tried to pivot and put it on Betsy DeVos for some sort of lacking of transparency at the federal Department of Education. No mention of Rahm or CPS in that piece, or the board. I mean, remember, this is a mayoral appointed board. The silence is just
Teachers union.
Teachers union, nothing. I mean, other than saying we need to work together.
We're against child sex abuse.
We're against child sex abuse.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
But this was, just to back up a little bit, this was 523 cases that the Tribune found where police were called to a CPS school for a sexual assault. And at the time, I don't think they knew if it was student on student or adult on student. Most of them, it turned out, were adult on student. CPS refused to release records. When they did release records, some of this we tweeted out, they redacted nearly everything. They kicked and screamed until the Tribune almost, threatened to take them to court. In order to come up with this information, reporters had to use court records, police records. They had to interview witnesses. They flew around the country interviewing people because CPS wasn't even keeping track of it. I mean,
And by the way, one other point that's important here is the city's legal department. It wasn't just police were called and say, oh, well, maybe they were called, it's illegitimate. The city's legal department found credible evidence to support the allegations in the majority or the preponderance, if not the majority of those cases.
That's correct. And the law department within CPS would interview the students repeatedly, it turns out, and then use some of their information against them when they would come to some sort of a settlement. So huge conflict of interest there. The mayor did remove that, and now the inspector general within CPS is handling that. But the layers of just bureaucratic mess that these kids had to go through is shocking, and it's hardly even coming up in the mayor's race.
City council. Where's the city council? Members of the city council talking about it. I mean, these are their constituents throughout the city.
Exactly.
85% are minority, mostly black, and no accountability for the white liberal power structure in the city?
Nope. And there's the legislature had a couple hearings, but you know how that goes. It's you have some hearings, you sit there, you grill CPS, you try to make yourself look good on the TV live stream, and then you move on with your life. And that's basically what has happened. So, and now you have an attorney's a firm running ads on Chicago television stations to try to bring more people into what is going to be a huge
class action
lawsuit, trying to search basically for more victims. So just as a property taxpayer, aside from the huge moral problem and just shameful thing that happened for all of those years, it is going to be a huge cost to CPS.
Which means us.
Yes. And back to your point about Lisa Madigan, let's circle back on that real quick, because she found some people in the Massachusetts case, right, who have Illinois connections. Pennsylvania, I'm sorry.
Right.
Cardinal Supich and others within the church have consistently said that they've been very open. And so I think whatever information she is seeking, it shouldn't be hard to come by if the church has been as diligent as they say they have been in terms of reporting every case to authorities, reporting DCFS, policies that they've put into place. I talked about this a little bit with the editorial board because I have my kids in Catholic school, and the response from the Catholic Church, or at least the schools, after the pre-sex abuse scandal was sweeping. You cannot step foot in my kids' school. You can't volunteer. You can't be a coach. You can't go to the lunchroom to help handle lunchroom duties until you take a 3-hour class,
right,
until you have a background check. And that class that you sit and watch child sex abusers be interviewed about how they chose their victims. So it's a stomach-churning but very eye-opening experience, and CPS should learn from that.
And after that Pennsylvania grand jury report, you've had other state attorney generals that are talking to their local archdiocese or local diocese. The St. Louis Archbishop Carlson has said that they're going to cooperate with the Attorney General's office in Missouri. Any files they want to see will be available to them. So it has been a reckoning. I don't know that the Catholic Church has learned all the lessons that it should with respect to the culture that was allowed to propagate this predatory culture among a small segment of the priests in the Catholic Church. I don't know they've learned all the lessons, but you're right. There have been significant substantive changes to policies with respect to church personnel, priests, and the Catholic schools.
Absolutely. And I mean,
Not to mention hundreds of millions. You're probably north of $1 billion now total in settlements.
Yes. And I mean, obviously the church deserved to be reckoned with in terms of that scandal. But I can just speak as a parent now. You can't be alone with the child. You can't, as a parent, do anything until you go through this training and have a background check. And so when I was reading the CPS story that the reporters did, which was just outstanding, I was just so dumbfounded that they had people who, had they run a background check, had previous records for sexual assault, and they're in the schools.
And look, we talked about this previous shows during the height, and previous stations, frankly, during the height of the Catholic abuse scandal. John Jay report that came out, John Jay Law School report that came out about just giving some proportionate to it, the concentration of events in terms of the period of time, and it said, any big public institution, and thinking specifically about K through 12 schools, that this is not something that's going to be limited to the Catholic Church, and so oversight, scrutiny, accountability. Protocols that are followed are so important. They clearly weren't in CPS, and I just wonder if there's a sort of a power structure that is unwilling to confront what they might find, and how many times and how many people are involved, both as predators and victims, in CPS over the years. I mean, it's like with the Catholic Church. You scratch the surface and you make it safe for people who've been victimized to come out, which you should do, then they do, and they should. Mm-hmm. And there should be a full reckoning. And I don't think we're at the very beginning of that with CPS, and I understand it's going to take time. The lack of interest in delivering the reckoning to CPS is what jars me, especially because of what happened in the church.
Yeah, thank God for the Chicago Tribune, Dan, mainstream media.
Occasionally there's stumbling into an insight. You would think with all those resources it would be more frequent. Steve in Niles, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes, good morning, people. I'm a ex-Catholic, and I'm just wondering if there is a place in heaven for a pedophile priest.
What do you think the answer is?
My answer? I don't know.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the call, Steve. Doing a little theology corner today. Do you know the answer, Kristen?
I'm still trying to figure out the origin of the question. I mean,
I don't know. Maybe he's trying to come back to the church or shame the church, or I don't know. There is such a thing as repentance, no matter how egregious the crime is. So I'll just leave it there.
Thank you, Father Prof.
Yeah. Oh boy, words that no one has ever spoken or will again. Tom in Deer Park.
Good morning. Great conversation. The question I have, and I don't know the answer to, as far as the legal and the ability to sue, the Catholic Church is a huge entity that has deep pockets and insurance policies. The Chicago public schools, I think, are protected by various union and legalistic. So I think, and I'm asking, does the Catholic Church getting sued and all the negative publicity about it have to do with the fact that the lawyers can go after them, where in fact the Chicago public schools are inured and protected by...
No, that's a sovereign immunity question is what you're asking, but that only pertains to carrying out your official duties. Obviously, committing crimes is not part of an official duty. Concealing crimes, not part of an official duty. So the CPS has massive civil exposure here with these cases. Thanks for the call, Tom.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, it's Amy Jacobson.
And Joe Walsh from MyPillow.
You're hearing from both of us because we've got two great MyPillow deals to tell you about.
And of course, because I'm the resident expert on the great night's sleep you're going to get with a MyPillow.
Is that why you sleep till noon every day, Joe?
Nice shot. Part of the reason. The other is because I'm not on the radio until the afternoon.
Lucky you. Well, I've got to get up early to do Chicago's Morning Answer, and I'm not sure I would get proper rest without MyPillow.
Hey, and I sleep even better with MyPillow because I added the MyPillow mattress topper to my bed. You got to get one. And when you buy the MyPillow mattress topper and use promo code Joe, you'll score 2 standard MyPillows for free.
For me, I love the MyPillow Go Anywhere pillow. So convenient. I suggest you use the promo code Amy. Buy 1 MyPillow and you'll get a second MyPillow plus 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows free.
Hey, either way, you're going to sleep like you never have before with MyPillow.
But definitely use promo code Amy.
Nah. Promo code Joe is the way better choice.
MyPillow.com. Promo code Amy.
Promo code Joe is way better, way better.
My name is Lauren Sullivan, and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 9 years ago, and I was severely disabled. And about 6 years ago, my mother had found Balance of Nature, so we decided to give it a try because at that point, nothing was helping. I was skeptical at first, but over time I realized I had more energy levels. I was sleeping better, which was huge, and my hair looked better, my skin looked better, my nails looked better, and then I was able to weed off some of those medications. And I know, had I not found Balance of Nature, I would not be living the quality of life that I am now.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first preferred set of fruits and veggies and have them shipped to you free. Call 800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751, or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity for upstream-ideas.com. Here's 1 week's worth of leftist intellectual offerings. Former CIA Director John Brennan, whose value as an intel officer closely rivals Chuck Barris's value as a CIA assassin, argued the revocation of his ability to leak classified information was some sort of unconstitutional abridgment of his free speech rights. Brennan was barking on MSNBC and opining in the New York Times that he is being silenced. Elizabeth Warren proposed to save capitalism by nationalizing private property. 350 newspapers colluded to publish the same anti-Trump ransom letter to their readers to prove what well-adjusted, independent-minded journalists they are. New York Governor Andy Cuomo announced that America will be great for the first time if and only if he's either elected president or bumps his brother Chris in CNN's primetime lineup. And of all the cake shops in all the world, a trans person walked into Masterpiece Cake Shop in Lakewood, Colorado because, SCOTUS ruling notwithstanding, the left and their government commissars will make Jack Phillips and every other Christian in America they can target choose between faith and business. The left is impervious to irony, unbounded by hypocrisy, undaunted by legal restraint, unyielding in their quest for dominion over every aspect of your life, and that's just in the last week.
When you're looking for a caring dentist and an experienced dental staff who'll treat you like family, then it's time to call Dr. Y at Oaklawn Dental LLC. Dr. Yerkes and his team will create a smile that you'll want to share with family and friends. Go to oaklawndentist.com for a complete list of services, or call Oaklawn Dental for an appointment with Dr. Y at 708-424-5700. And for a limited time, get a $100 credit on your new account. Call 708-424-5700. Oaklawn Dental LLC for the smile you deserve.
Hey guys, Ken here from the Business Accelerator podcast, Today's Growth. If you had to choose a vehicle to take you up the rocky side of a mountain, would you choose a Ferrari or a Jeep? The Ferrari's faster, cooler, maybe even sexier, but if you have to get to the top, the Jeep's a better bet. I think we can agree getting to the top is not about the driver, it's the vehicle. Have you noticed people often pick their financial vehicle like they pick their cars? Washington Post shared that only 1 out of 4 people choose a job that uses their college degree. Why? Simple. Something more immediate, maybe cooler, maybe even sexier came along first. Shouldn't the main deciding factors for revenue generation be production or output? Should the cool factor have any weight in choosing someone's income? If getting to the top of the financial mountain is mission critical for you, why not add a few Jeeps to your garage? Could your household or business use an additional revenue model that makes it to the top every time? If so, you have to see the Jeeps lined up at incomestore.com. That's incomestore.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Krista McQuarrie in for Amy this morning, and a doctor charged with sexual assault in Manhattan. Kristen, you have the details for us?
You tell them, Dan.
No, I want you to.
No, you. You're the one familiar with this type of procedure, so.
A breast cancer screening was conducted by one Dr. Mark Jackson, and he, during the exam, apparently put his mouth on the victim's breast. And look, I didn't go to medical school, so, and I'm not a woman. I don't get breast cancer screening. So is that normal? Is that?
I don't really think that's how a breast exam usually is done, I would say. No?
Forcibly placed her hand on his genitals during the screening.
I'm not a doctor. I did not go to medical school, but I'm not. I don't think that really qualifies as part of an exam.
Look, I'll check your blood pressure, then you check my blood pressure. I can't believe you're making fun of a sexual assault. This is outrageous.
See, you really. You turn me into a different person on the show. I don't like it.
Bring you down to my level.
Yes.
That's what we do at Chicago's Morning Answer, bring everybody down to my level. I apologize on behalf of Kristen McQuarrie to the entire audience.
Thank you.
And that's a good way to end the week.
Yeah.
Kristen
Great
McQuarrie, thank you for joining us. Let's turn it over to Mike Scott to elevate this discourse.
67 degrees outside, gray skies and rain on the way. Crews mopping up after battling a fire at a Blue Island restaurant. The AG planning to meet with Catholic leaders to discuss clergy abuse. And Paul Vallis introduces his economic plan. Cubs over the Reds. White Sox and Tigers play game 2 of their series tonight. Bears and Chiefs tomorrow. WIND Chicago News Time is 9 o'clock.